Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laureli Shimayo. This is a MeWe Awakening panel for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and online. Today is our online panel. We have 4 or maybe 5 practitioners here today answering questions from the audience. The topic today, the theme, is jobs, education, career path, purpose. We're looking at not only your purpose, but practically how do you implement that in the world? That is the focus for today. We do answer questions on all kinds of topics, not just those, and that's the particular focus. Let's see. So we're going to be here for 2.5 hours. So in the beginning, the practitioners will go through and share a bit about who they are and how they apply their gifts and their modalities to answering these kinds of questions. And then we'll be answering questions from the audience. I think we've got at least 1 person in line right now. We do, and there may be more getting in line. I'll put the information in the chat again about how you can sign up to ask a question of the panel. And because we have an astrologer with us today, if you'd like to ask a question, please do gather your birth date, time, and place, the best information that you have about that. And then you can put it in the chat to everyone if you want to share it with everyone, or to me, or to Cara directly, and we will have your chart ready for when we answer your question. All right, great. Well, let's have the practitioners go through and share about themselves first. And practitioners, feel free to take like 3 or 4 minutes to share about your work, and do go ahead and share about how you respond to these types of questions that we're talking about today. But yeah, share about all your work so people get a sense of all that you do. So maybe Cara, go ahead, and then Jessie, Karen, and then myself. Go ahead, Cara.
Okay, thanks, Laureli. Hi, everyone. I'm Cara James. I'm an intuitive astrologer in Portland, Oregon. Astrology is my absolute passion, but I also do weave in intuitive messages, feng shui, energy healing and clearing, and all sorts of things. So I really look at the stars to get a good sense of who you are, what you're here for, and then bring other tools in to clear blocks that are in the way of that. I love talking about life purpose. I have, I don't know, maybe a different perspective on it than some. And I see vocation as one tool to activating your life purpose, not necessarily your life purpose. So, you know, I see us all having different soul journeys, soul lessons, things that we're here to learn, and the different vocations that we choose or that come to us along the way are really just providing the fodder or the environment for those life lessons to be able to play out in some way. And we all have, you know, great numbers of skills and gifts and things that we can bring, that we can activate in different ways. So like, for example, if you looked at my chart, before I was an astrologer, I was a nonprofit founder, executive director, fundraiser. When you look at my chart, you can look at it and go, wow, you know, doing nonprofit work makes a lot of sense as one vehicle to experiencing your life lessons. But astrology is another thing that also comes forward when you look at my chart. So we don't necessarily have just one thing that we're here to do and to be. In each of those different scenarios, we have an opportunity to really learn and grow. So that's my perspective. And yeah, definitely bring your birthday, time, and place. I'll pull up your chart. Even if you don't have your time, I can still get a lot of good information otherwise. Am I missing anything more?
Well, yeah, maybe could you just say a little bit too in general about charts, and then I know you use it for medical intuition, and just kind of give us the range of all the different things too.
Oh my gosh, anything you want to look at, any area of life, astrology has a foray into that. So you can talk about, you absolutely can look at your health. Medical astrology is one of my passions. I'm also studying herbalism, so I can bring in additional types of remedies for folks based on their charts. So yeah, there's definitely a mystery component of, you know, trying to see what's going on if you haven't had luck going more traditional routes. You can look at relationship, you can look at your relationships to your parents, you know, you can look at your mom and your dad and your siblings, your lovers, anybody in your life will actually show up in your chart. Any area of life will show up in your chart. So you could talk about pets, you could talk about anything, and your chart will have a way to explore that. So it's quite magical, quite amazing. Every single time I pull up a chart, go, wow, this is pretty cool that the universe provides these incredible messages to us. So yeah, lots of things to explore. So yeah, if it's outside of the realm of life purpose and career, feel free to ask too. I'm happy to take a look at it for you.
Great, thanks so much. All right, so that is Cara. And yeah, so add your birth date, time, and place in the chat if you are going to be asking a question of the panel. And we ask that you do please pay before you ask a question. So it's great. I see more information is coming in. All right, great. Jessie, what do you do?
Hi, I'm Jessie Starr. I'm an intuitive psychic and I have my clair senses all awakened. I'm a teacher primarily. I teach people how to access their energy, how to feel their energy and move it through their body. I teach them how to utilize that system as well as understanding their physical, mental, emotional bodies. I focus mostly on trauma survivors. So I support people with recovering from the fractures that we get when we experience that overwhelm. I believe we all experience this. I don't think you have to have extreme trauma. Sometimes the trauma comes from the inside, not the outside. So I like to help people feel and get connected with their own inner teacher, guide, and healer. I believe you are your most powerful healer and teacher. All I can ever do is remind you of how you really are and who you really feel like when you're in your most essence. So I've built a 12-step recovery program to the human condition. I call it Life Mastery. I've been teaching it for about 6 years online in Zoom, and I've helped dozens of people completely rebuild their lives, and a few hundred people have gone through it and worked on it and come back and still come back because it's learning how to walk in life differently, learning how to walk in a present state of awareness, learning how to bring your full light of awareness, how to release all of your connections to the past and to these future parts so you can overcome this anxiety and depression that keeps you out of your present state. I've also built a new program last year called A to Z, Your Guide to Energy. It's an experiential energy program where we go through and we feel energy in different tunings, frequencies. We learn how to utilize it in different ways, how to focus ourselves, because I believe our body is a receiver and transmitter of frequency. We're all channeling our own primary consciousness and learning to shift that out of our focus of awareness is a very powerful tool that allows you to access what we think of as intuition and empathy and those psychic gifts. So I teach that. I also have classes and sessions that are workshops, privates. I do retreats out in the country in Warrendale, Washington. We focus in on how to flow state heal, which is feeling all the feelings, falling in love with all of the situation, opening ourselves to different possibilities so we can break out of our victimhood filter, which is sweetly seductive and has a will to survive and keeps our reality around us functioning in these patterns. I also, as people are going through this, have into my Life Mastery program built a whole portion for building a path, service-based practices and how to transition your life from working in jobs you don't feel fulfilled at to working into service. And how do you do that? What did you come here to serve? Are you a creator being? Are you in service? What is it that you came here to deliver as your unique individuation of God expressing itself? That's a big part of what I do. I'm also a tarot reader. I use my tarot, though, not for future forecasting or that kind of stuff. I really focus it in on where are you at, what's going on, what are the bones of the situation, and how can we energetically begin transitioning you. Here at this panel, if you contact me directly, you can get my 22% discount that all of my Life Mastery and A to Z students get as an HP student discount on any readings or session work. And that's about it. Thanks so much, Laureli. I'm excited to be here. My soul crack is when people figure out their purpose and start doing it. So this is one of my faves.
Great, thanks, Jessie. All right, and we got questions coming in. All right, Karen. And Karen, feel free if you, whatever context you want to give us, share about all the different kinds of things you do if you like, and see how you'll answer questions today.
Thank you, Laureli. My name is Karen Dyrenforth, and I am located in Eugene, Oregon. When we're trying to figure out what our life purpose is or career paths, being grounded allows us to be our truly creative selves. That's a root chakra thing. So anyone working towards expanding consciousness has to have a strong foundation, a strong root chakra, strong earth element. And if someone feels very confidently connected to the earth and has a handle on they have to be able to have a handle on their finances too. And by that I mean their books. And I know a lot of people, business owners, or even individuals, it tends to be something that they want to avoid because they may not feel like they understand what they're looking at when they look at numbers. But it's really, it can be a very grounded place to be, and just less likely to be too much air or too much space, because the groundedness, the earth element is 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 a good place to be able to take care of not only of ourselves but our finances as well. So I like to help women who are very creative, but don't necessarily want to be doing that root stuff. Find a way to become more passionate about it and understand it so that they can figure out where they want to go from where they are. And that can be in business, it can be in transition, it can be in personal. I have a foundation in coaching in a couple of different modalities, but I also have a background in finance and accounting for many years. So I like to combine the knowledge that I've gained through that with helping women move forward, either in business or in life, by understanding what they can do from a financial perspective. And I'm very happy to be here, and I thank Laureli, who's been a friend of mine for over a decade. We knew each other in Colorado. Now we're both out here on the West Coast. So I love Laureli. She's been a huge supporter of mine, and thank you so much, Laureli.
Great, thanks so much, Karen. All right, we might be joined also by Sally, who's a medium, and we will see if Sally will be joining us today. And I'm so interested to see how she would be answering these questions. I'm like, all right, is she coming? So I have texted her, and hopefully she will join us as well. And I know that it will be a rich experience if it is the four of us. Let's see, so I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and a body psychology coach. With my intuitive eye readings, my aim is to read your soul and then answer questions about your soul journey. And with my body psychology coaching, I aim to help you move through blocks, see where your big growth opportunities are, and help you notice what's happening in your body and utilize this information to shift. So with my eye readings, I read your soul. Like eyes are a window to the soul. And in your soul is your soul purpose or your life purpose. So I stretch between connecting with the soul and this energy and the more spiritual purpose, and then also really grounded physical plane, like what do you do about it in this world? Right? So what are the things that are in natural alignment with your soul and your journey, and what are practical ways that you might apply it right now? There might be ways that you can shift and change the way you do your work at your current job. There might be ways that you can change around a little bit of what your job is where you are. It may be a totally new job and a totally new organization, or working with new people at your organization, all kinds of different things. Could be really starting your own business and doing that on the side as you grow that, and then fully transition. It could be that you work in someone else's business that does something that's similar to what you want to do. There's just all kinds of different things. I've been working on updating some of my charts, and I was working on one of these kind of the soul purpose charts just today, and reminding myself of like all the different kinds of things that the different talents are really great at. The 7 talents and which talents we have are one of the big connections to purpose. I have a book on the 7 talents. I have information on that in the chat. I may need to add it on my notes. And yeah, so I'm going to be reading what I see in your eyes today and answering questions on these topics. Some people love education, and some people are great at educating others and teaching. And part of the lesson with that for people that have that or love that, whether or not they have it, is that they often want too much education. So sometimes the answer might be to go to school, and sometimes the answer is not to go to school. I think listening to what your heart says, following where you feel energy, following what you're passionate about, and love, and people come to you for, like that's a general indication of where to go. I'm sure that'll come up in the answers today. Anything else I should share about me and what I do? And yeah, I guess I maybe give you a little context. I have completely changed my career a number of times. I started off influenced a lot by my grandmother. She loved science and evolution in particular. I was a molecular biologist. I worked in animals and plants. I worked in medicine for a while. I worked in agriculture. I really actually did not like that field. It took me a while to kind of untangle myself from that. And then took a break and I did ceramics for a while, and I taught ceramics and did some art history research. And I needed to kind of get practical, and I didn't want to go back to science. So I ended up working at an intellectual property law firm, and I'm a patent agent. So you see like all these turns and like, but when I did art, I did science in art. I taught things like glaze chemistry in addition to throwing. So I thought very ceramics, I did throwing on the potter's wheel. I think I had a past life as a potter. It's a very physical work. It's totally meditative. So it really helped me on my spiritual path too. And then I taught, glaze chemistry. So I supported some of the professors and things they weren't as good at, because all my science, my chemistry background was great for that. And then with art history research, I was helping the museum and working with some other students where the museum got pieces donated and they didn't know if they were authentic or not, old Asian ceramics and things like that. So I got to do all kinds of research trying to sort out if they were likely to be authentic or not. So it's a great sleuthing thing for me. So, science and sleuthing and themes. And this is all related to my eyes. And let's see, so I was into working at an intellectual property law firm, and I learned that I really could write. I loved strategy, but I didn't like sitting in an office all day. So I went to go work at an entrepreneurial organization to do intellectual property, and I got to do tons of things there. So I was starting to learn to do my eye readings at that time and working with somatic psychotherapists, where my real interest was people, but I was scared to study psychology in the beginning. And oh goodness, I got to help hire about 50 people as we grew, and helped with team dynamics issues and all kinds of things as I was starting to do more of my work on the side and teaching. And it was during this time that I met Karen. And oh goodness, when the economy went down, and really I was blessed. I was starting to wonder, like, when am I going to do more on my own? When am I going to do my own thing? And I felt scared. So I know about that journey, about feeling scared about making a change. I got my work cut down to 1 day a week, which is a blessing. I still had now them as a client, and I started working with people. And I was scared. I didn't know if I'd provide enough value, and so I gave my work away for free for a couple of weeks, and then $10 an hour, and then $25 an hour. So I started slow in steps that really felt good to me, and then I could integrate. And worked with a leadership coach in her business, and so I learned more about how to take my knowledge of entrepreneurship and business into leadership coaching. And I was already doing life coaching and matchmaking, and I love connecting people for all kinds of things. And so it goes. And I didn't know I was doing anything intuitive for a while. So I had no idea I'd be writing metaphysical and wellness fairs and awakening panels and all these things. So I say this to convey that one, I have experience in tons of things, but really two, you don't know what your path is going to be, right? You might get insight with someone that helps you lock in of and your path and it's so clear and but chances are, even as you're on that path, you're evolving, you're growing, you're discovering new capacities in you, and exactly what you do and how you do it will evolve and change. So I encourage you to find something that's in alignment and take steps and not worry about it being perfect. So yeah, a little bit more about me. And more people keep coming. This is fun. All right. And I have my work offered at 40% off today. And that information will be in the chat. I'll put all the information on the practitioners in the chat again in a few minutes. And I just started sharing. We did a Facebook Live earlier, and I started sharing it in groups and stuff. So we're getting more people to join us too. Very exciting. All right. Well, let's see. We've got some questions in the line. Let me see. There were some questions. Click the link. Yeah, I know. So sometimes, so we've had some people, okay, you don't know how to pay. All right, Donna, let's help you figure. So let me figure out getting you a link. So I'm just going to put this in the chat. And if you click send here, there's a link. And if you click send, when you get to that screen, it's so funny. It has requests too. That's cute. You will be able to send me money to ask a question. I've got you in line. I know you want to ask a question. Yeah, people were saying where they're from. And by the way, we've got people from Washington, Oregon, Illinois, New York, Arizona, and Guam. I did not know that this person who's been joining us for months is in Guam. Wow, maybe years. I did not realize. So yeah, thanks everyone for saying where you're from. It's pretty fun to see. All right, well, let's go back to the questions I know we've got in line. So and this is in line. Donna is attempting to get in line. Jess is in line. And I think Lena is asking, if I'm pronouncing it right, is asking a question too. And let's see, you're interested in asking a question, but what can you expect today? All right, well, so let's see. So you may have just entered. So let's go through and let's just do super quick Oh yeah, Karen. So practitioners, if you want to say anything too. So let's go through and just do super quick again about what you do and what you bring, since we've got so many new people that are joining. And Karen, did you have a particular question or just something else you want to share? Go ahead. Okay, yeah. So go ahead.
I wanted to mention that my office during this Facebook MeWe Fair is a 30-minute free laser coaching session on how to get grounded in your finances.
Yeah, that's great. Well, yeah, so let's go around again and just say briefly who we are and what we do. So let's do same order: Cara, Jessie, Karen, and then I'll go. So yeah, just people have context. And then you can, for those of you in the audience, it's free to be here to listen and learn, and you can ask a question of the panel if you'd like to. You pay to ask a question. You can ask a question on anything. Oh, okay, you're not in Guam right now. You can ask a question on anything, and the theme today in particular is jobs, education, career path, and life purpose. So you might be asking a question more on that, but we can touch on all kinds of things. All right, go ahead, Cara.
Hi everyone, I'm Cara James. I'm an intuitive astrologer in Portland, Oregon. So if you have your birthday, time, and place, go ahead and send that to me in the chat and I'll pull up your chart, which is basically a map of your soul, what you came into the world to learn and experience, talks about your past life, your future, where you're heading, and what career options might be really helpful for unlocking more of the things you're here to experience and learn about in your incarnation. So happy to explore that for you. Again, Cara James, carajames.com.
Thanks, Cara. Okay, Jessie.
Hi, I'm Jessie Starr, healingpathwalkers.com. I am an intuitive psychic. I also teach people how to get in touch with and feel their own energy, connect with their own healing and their own guidance. I believe you're your best healer and guide and teacher. I also, like Laureli, was a potter. I had no idea that she did that as well. My mom ran a pottery business my whole childhood, and I started teaching and doing pottery in high school and college, and ended up becoming a teaching assistant for that for a little while. So funny, while doing a mathematics background, because I was also riding all sides of the fence. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my adult life. That is, I come from a long line of self-business makers and owners, and I've trained in the Bill Baron building a spiritual-based business practice. It's how I started launching my own practice about 8 years ago. I've been running this practice for the last 8 years and transitioning and shifting and changing, and it's a passion of mine to get people in service as what they are here to be. I believe we are each individuated aspects of God incarnated, and we're here to deliver that. So that's my passion, to help you find and connect to that. I'm super excited to be here. I really love what Karen's been talking about, bringing in the books and bringing in the finances as well, because let's just say that's not my favorite thing. So I'm excited to be here and hear what she has to share. And I love astrology as well. And I've been with Laureli for a long time, so I'm super excited to be in this space. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jessie. That's great. All right, Karen. You are muted. Let's get you unmuted, Karen.
There we go. So I'm Karen Dyrenforth. I'm Eugene, Oregon, and I am a financial confidence and empowerment coach. And as Jessie mentioned, I have talked with so many entrepreneurs, women business owners who have these extraordinary passions for what they do, that the practical side of it, the grounded side of it, is the books and finances. So what I do is help women to fall in love with their books, so to speak. And numbers can be fun. I know that it's kind of, when you think about it, it's a dry subject, but I have been in accounting and finance for decades, and there's so much information contained in numbers, and it's the basis of every business, even an individual who doesn't have business, just wanting to plan what they want to do, in the near future, in the long term. It's really important to have an understanding, and so that's what I teach, is just how to look at some key factors so that you're not looking at things and glazing over, but having a good understanding, a solid foundation bringing that earth element into whatever it is that you're doing and what you want to do and where you want to go. So that's what I have. And yeah, I'm very glad to be here. Been a friend of Laureli's for a long time, and this is my first time on a panel, so I'm just a little bit nervous. But I'm happy to answer questions and have conversations with people. I love to talk with people about what they're doing. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Karen. And as I was mentioning before, I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and a body psychology coach, and I will be reading your eyes to read your soul and answer questions on your life purpose. And then I'm grounded in all kinds of practical applications for that also. All right. And people are asking questions about asking questions, which is great. We've got 5 people in line now, so let's get started. All right. So before we go into questions, a few things that you'll want to know. So keep in mind that this is recorded and will be posted online. And I know I have high-speed internet, and so I'm going to be able to get everything uploaded from the last few months over the next week or so. So if you don't want to ask things in public, please don't ask a question in this format because it will be all up and on the web. All right, and we all do sessions privately too, so you can always start here and then go deeper. All right. So when you ask a question, it might have something to do with the theme today, and it can be about anything. We can talk about just about anything. When you ask the question, we may go deeper than you intend for us to go, or we may start talking about other related topics that we see as related and you don't want us talking about here, and that's okay. Please tell us whatever you do and don't want. If we start wandering into territory where you don't want us sharing here recorded, please let us know. Unmute and let us know, wave your hands in the video, write in the chat, etc. Get our attention because we want to honor you in the way we answer. Second thing is that we encourage you to listen and learn from everything that's shared, the questions that are asked, the answers that we give. It's a great opportunity, all of us just holding space for each other. It's a great opportunity to open to your intuition and that you may get messages coming through while we're answering. And I request that you allow the attention to stay up here on the panel. If something comes through for you, you might want to write it down, as they often don't. For me, certainly, they don't stay very long. Like the answers come in. You do something with them or you don't. So I encourage you to write it down. And then if you want to share with the person that asked the question, please wait until we are finished answering their questions. And then you could write to them privately in the chat and ask them if they'd like to hear what came through for you. Please honor whatever it is that they share. They may be full after they hear answers from us, and trust that it came through you for another reason. Well, thanks so much about that. And is there anything else? Maybe those are the main things. All right, we're going to jump in and start on our questions. Oh yeah, okay. And by the way, so let's probably, if we can aim, so there are 4 of us, so it's gonna be a little easier. Let's just aim for somewhere in the like 15-ish, 20 minutes per question, and we'll have a chance to answer at least like 8 questions, I think. And I did find out Sally is in Florida and has bad internet and not enough charge on her phone, unfortunately, so she will not be joining us today. So it is the 4 of us. All right, great. All right, so Anissa, I think you are first. Anissa was the inspiration for this panel. I'm excited she's going to be joining us to ask a question. Where are you, dear Anissa? I'm going to pull you to the front. Where did you go?
Okay, can you hear me, see me now?
Ah, okay, here we go. Let's get you in here in the front. All right, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I'll try to be brief just so that we can keep going. I recently had kind of, I don't want to say epiphany, but sort of just a big revelation that I want to move forward with doing recreational therapy, helping those who have disabilities as well, particularly maybe kiddos, but incorporating energy work with it, energy healing. So I was just wondering if you had any guidance on more of the metaphysical side of it. I do know that I want to at least get a recreational therapy certificate, so I feel like I have some foundation in that aspect of it, but then I want to use my lived experience as being a disabled person, but also how do I integrate the energy healing part of it? So thank you.
And could you just remind us, what is your, I know you have other education. Can you just remind us what context it is?
So I have an undergraduate bachelor's degree in speech communication, and I have a social media specialist certificate. And yeah, that's the paper stuff.
Okay, cool. Great, thanks. All right, so we've got Jessie in line. I know Cara's probably working on your chart, and yeah, so let's start with Jessie.
Hi, Anissa. It's nice to be able to answer a question for you. You do so much for us in all of these different functions and events. So wonderful to be able to support you. Here's what I did. I went ahead and I have a couple of different decks with me. I've got an Angelarium deck, which really focuses from a Kabbalah perspective of angel frequencies. And you got Such Laugh, which is the angel of verdancy. It's really about, he's this frequency of growth, of growing and creation. You know, he's like, I don't know if you can see him, he's a big tree ant, and he's like traveling through the land, and he's just blessing it with his light, and he's growing things. Then you also got, I'm at my mom's. So we had these angel cards since I was a child. She got them in New Mexico from this healer years and years ago. And love was the card that I pulled for you. So it's something you love. It's something you feel passionate about. It's something you feel connected to. So whenever I'm guiding somebody about how to figure out, what do I do for my life purpose? Well, I ask them, first of all, do you see a problem? Do you see a problem in the world, in the culture that's not being met? And do you have an idea of what that might be to meet that need? That's how we know our purpose. And though if we feel passionate and engaged about it, then we're going to get that drive every morning to wake up and do what we have to do, because there's a lot involved when you're doing a business around service. So we need to make sure it's something that's so passionate that we're like, as Karen mentioned earlier, we're excited to do our books. It's not about where's the money going, but what am I utilizing it for? One of the other things is I pulled for you 2 tarot cards, and you got the Wheel of Fortune and the Six of Swords. So it seems like you're coming out of something that was a little bit challenging and hard, and you're having to really learn to rest your mind and shift the way you've been thinking about things. Feels like there was some sort of a battle in the past, and you feel a little bit stalled out in the wheel. It's inverted. So you're not actually feeling right now to be able to make things shift and change. I think that's because you really need to give yourself time to percolate with this idea just a little bit more, and allow yourself to imagine and dream. When I was in training to be an energy worker, and we were talking and learning about manifestation, one of the main focuses is the universe gives you what you need, not what you want, not what you desire, but what you need. And if you need the steps to come before you to be able to make that work happen because it's your passion, then the steps come before you. But if you just want it and you're not really ready or sure, then it's not ready to provide it for you. It doesn't know what exactly to provide. So give yourself a chance to really visualize how will it feel when I get up in the morning for my job? How am I going to feel about it? And if I gave myself a magic wand and I wasn't worried, will they pay me? They will pay you. People will pay you when you become passionate. What would that be if I gave myself absolute permission? That's my answer.
Thank you, Jessie.
All right, great. Who else wants to jump in? Cara, if you're ready, or Karen, if you have some things you want to share.
Sorry, it always takes me a little longer because I got to make sure I got the birth info. And so I'll usually probably go last or second to last, Karen, just so you know.
Sure, that's great. All right, well, let's see. So I think in general, your idea is great. Artisan, priest, priestess, and scholar, are your talents, and artisan is definitely sensitive to energy. I know you've already done some training on energy healing, and my experience is that you bring kind of an energy healing flavor to everything that you do just by your presence, so that you are moving towards consciously doing energy healing seems great. And working with people with disabilities in general, working with differently able people, bringing in your personal experience and the range of awareness you have of all kinds of different strategies and the emotional process that people go through. That seems like a natural fit for me too, because priestess is primarily focused on emotions. It's about uplifting people. And so being in a context where you're working with energy and uplifting, and also bringing in the practical strategies and scholar of knowledge, right, that you might even gain in addition to what you already know, that seems great. I'd wonder about recreational therapy certificate, and I'd want to I would think that there would be programs that work really well for who you are. So I would just make sure that it's a program that really does work with you. And then I would hope that it's something that's not, right, you're the example of someone that could overeducate yourself. So a certificate probably is going to be something that's shorter and simpler and quicker. And yeah, so I encourage you to find something that's quick and easy and cost effective for you. And ideally a teacher that you feel really aligned with and that you want to learn from. There could even be someone in the community already that has access to a program that's even sensitive, and aware of energy and can even, allow you to work in all kinds of different ways. And maybe something that's local and practical. Just something, that kind of fits the mixture of all those things. And I encourage you to, the word therapy is just, sometimes there can be more legal requirements about that. And so chances are you're going to be working with a range of people that don't necessarily need to go through that process. If you're wanting to work with people with insurance, like, again, look for what the simplest, easiest, practical way is to work with that. And yeah, and I know we definitely have other practitioners in this community that do play therapy and things like that. So I'm thinking of people in particular. So it's like really following what's interesting to you, not the way you think you should do this or how others might tell you you should do this, right? The shouldy word. I'm really looking for artisan pleasure, interest, and then priest is what you're really aligned with, what feels true and in integrity for you. And yeah, this seems great, the combination of all these kinds of things. Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Yes, artisans love to play. All right, play with purpose for artisan priest. All right, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, so really, I just wanted to ask if you had any questions from the perspective of moving forward with this with your passion of, becoming a therapist, and how you are going to support yourself in your transition. And because I think it's really important when you feel grounded that you can move forward, then you have a lot more confidence in yourself and can show up more fully for what it is you're going to be learning. So I just wanted to make myself available if you had any kinds of questions in that arena.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. It's unfortunate and fortunate. This is the first time where I felt like taking the leap with what may come with the financial cost of my decisions, instead of like, oh gosh, what am I going to do financially? How is this going to work? So like, I don't have a question because I just have trust this time around, trust that this is the right direction. So I'm going to keep your contact information though, for when I move further ahead along and it turns more from the learning aspect of it to hopefully more of a business thing, then I might need some more guidance. But thank you so much for taking the time to see if there was anything particular I could ask today.
My pleasure, Anissa. And yes, please do keep my contact me. And if you want to ask a question, before you get there, like I said, I'm offering a 30-minute free consultation. So.
Yeah, and Karen, I'm not going to say, like, I know that you're not like a regular tax account, but you might have some comments for people that want to pursue education and what receipts they should keep and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I can cover it all.
Do you want to say a little bit right now, just too, so that Anissa hears and other people hear about that too?
Well, it's just been my experience that the more you understand about what you can write off in your business and expense, then it's about the money that you are bringing in and how much of that you can keep. That's kind of a basic understanding of it. And it's been my experience that not everybody is that well versed in what they can, write off. And so it is very important to keep receipts of for anything that can be related to your business or even your education. If you're in the learning phase of it, there could be some advantages for you tax-wise there. So, yeah, do keep in touch, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laureli.
You're welcome. All right, great. Cara, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. And is it Anissa or Anissa?
It's Anissa, but I answered anything.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks so much for sharing your chart with me. And I always love hearing how there's threads between all the practitioners. So when Laureli was saying your eye type, I was like, oh yes, I totally see that. And I felt a resonance with your chart. I was like, we're similar. And like, oh, we have the same archetypes. It's just fun how the different things work together. You have tremendous skill in communications. And so to hear that you studied speech and communications in school is just phenomenal. I mean, you came into the world with an interest in learning and also a tremendous skill in being able to learn things very, very, very quickly. So I think one thing to think about in terms of, and sorry if I didn't catch the exact plan of like, if you're in terms of like what other education may come, is that even without formal education, you can learn so fast. So don't limit yourself in any way of thinking, oh, I need more degrees or I need this or that. Of course, you know, depending on, I don't know the subject matter enough. I mean, there might be legal requirements, but you have tremendous ability to be able to learn very, very quickly. And in terms of your past life experience, I mean, you already know how to work with energy. So don't think that you don't. You bring so many skills into being. Now, this idea of doing play or recreational therapy with kids is so good for your astrology chart. The ruler of your chart is Mars. Mars is in the 5th house, which is a house of play, of children, of recreation. So being able to do some kind of therapy and work with younger people in particular is really, really beautiful for your chart. There's also this sense of having to do something that's incredibly meaningful and nothing else will suffice. And you also have to be careful to not, there's going to be a tendency for you to make tremendous sacrifice for other people and to be really conscientious and cautious of how you do that, because some people that have their ruler here in the end of Pisces can look back and go, was it worth it? All the sacrifice that I did, all the sacrifice that I made for this thing. So you really want to know that, you know, you're a very passionate person. That's really clear in your chart too. Like you're going to just jump right in with both feet and put your all into something. So you want to make sure that it is the, you know, the thing, which it sounds like this is something that really grabs you in your heart. Now you mentioned you have an experience as being disabled in some way. Is that something you feel comfortable sharing about?
Yeah, so I have a genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and basically my joints dislocate very easily, and so my muscles have to hold me together. So I have a lot of chronic pain, chronic fatigue, healthy and then not so healthy, bed rest and then walking fine, wheelchairs and then surgery. So I kind of bounce all around, but I had a good portion of my childhood where I wasn't as bad. And so it was that transition of becoming more disabled that I think if I could help other kiddos and families during that transition period where you get the diagnosis or you get the validation that, you know, something isn't quite right.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. I have another medical astrology client that has the same condition. So I've done some work with that, and it's quite a lot, I know, to move through the world with that. So thanks for sharing, and beautiful how you're transforming it into a way of being able to give back to others. The other piece here is that I think that you have a tremendous amount to share, not just in the one-on-one with your clients, but also in a form of a book or some kind of publication or something like that. If you felt that kind of in you in some way, like I see there's especially when you look at the ruling part of your chart for your career, it's like, have faith in your voice, put your story out there, share. You actually have, you also have a CEO tendency of like, you could be really, really good at making things happen, getting things done. There's a certain authority that you present with, that you can share, can teach, right? People will look to you as a thought leader in this area. So I really want to encourage you to find ways to get more comfortable putting your voice out there, because not only does it look really important for your soul journey, but it looks really important for other people to be able to hear the wisdom that you have to share. Yeah. I see Lorelei shaking her head, nodding her head over there. So maybe you know, and it's a little bit better than me. The other thing, if I could say real quick, is that there's also going to be an eclipse that's happening this spring that I think is going to be really significant for you in terms of the direction you're heading in. And is there a schooling program you're in right now?
No, I honestly just started looking at different online certificate programs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, some of the eclipse energy does impact the furthering your education in some way. So I wouldn't be surprised if this eclipse helps you get more clarity on how you want to go about that.
Oh, wow, fascinating. Thank you so very much for sharing all of that.
Oh, thank you.
I totally agree with what you say, knowing innocent, and then also Natalie wrote in something in the chat about never guessing, right? That yeah. So and yeah, so I'm nodding about all kinds of different things. As I agree that you, Anissa, it totally seems like you have the capacity to make a bigger impact on a wider group of people than working one-on-one. And you do make that wider impact already in various ways. It's great. All right, and Jessie, I think you had something else you wanted to share. Go ahead.
I'll be super quick because I know we've got a lot of questions. So the first thing I wanted to share was in response to what Laureli mentioned about doing therapeutic work and legalities. If you're going to do hands-on work or you're going to be working with somebody as far as guidance and all of that goes, and you're not a licensed therapist or a massage therapist, then you do require a minister's license in order to be able to do that. And it needs to be that what you're doing and offering is part of a practice and a service. That's the first thing I wanted to share for anybody who wants to go into any kind of service-based practice. Oftentimes nowadays, we're bringing in something that's completely new. So you're not really going to be able to find a licensure in that. It's something new. Especially people in your generation are being inspired to create new things. So please don't allow non-licensure to prohibit you from feeling like you need to show up as inspired. One of the best pieces of advice I got out of that Bill Barron training program is being willing to move forward with imperfect action and then modify as you go. The other piece I'm going to say just really, really quickly is as a child, my mother was a program director for a program called Cloud Dancers, which taught people who had physical disabilities to ride horses and how therapeutic horseback riding was for that. I watched as a child, I'd volunteer and it was my passion to go and participate in that. I was a competitive horseback rider. Watching how those people completely transformed me and put me in a service path my whole life. There's so much reward in that. So I really want to just echo the need and the grace and the people who are drawn to it. You're very special beings. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Well, thanks so much for asking your question, and thanks so much for being an inspiration for this panel. Clearly, it's very popular and much needed. All right. Let's see. And so next we've got Donna. Let's get Donna up to the front. Let me find Donna here. I know you had Donna on your name. You've gone in and out. So are you here now? You might not be here right now. All right, Donna has been going in and out. So let's pass by Donna at the moment. So Jess, you are next. Let's get you in here. All right, Jess.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Thank you for doing this. And I always enjoy these sessions. Always take a lot out of hearing everybody else. But given the theme, I thought, hey, I'm going to participate and ask. So in terms of my career, largely influenced by my past and my childhood, which I grew up the oldest of 4. And so had a lot of responsibility around that. Wound up starting in a nursing home. And so I worked in long-term care for 14 years. I did 5 years in a behavioral support position while also training under and working for a dementia expert in the States. And so the last couple of years, that's been my focus. I had sort of started my own independent business doing the same thing, but more locally, which I live in Canada. I'm dual, so I can travel and work in the States. And that's a little bit of sort of what's been going on with me, but yeah, spent the pandemic sort of catching up on some much needed self-care and trying to do some active clearing, and trying to get a little focused for moving forward. So I'd love to hear anything that you might have to offer.
I want to ask to clarify. I've been taking notes, and admittedly, I'm like distracted by all these things underneath here. So you said you've been doing long-term care for so long. You did a lot of care growing up, right? So I see how you got there. And then are you asking an open-ended question of, well, you said you started your own business. So I'm curious about what your own business is that you started. And then really, what is your question? What did you?
Sure. Yeah, it was not very focused. So my business was doing the same types of education that I'm doing as an independent contractor for the company that I work for. And it is about increasing awareness, knowledge, and skill around dementia and dementia care training. That's my background. So I come with a very sort of hands-on approach, and this is a very hands-on learning type of education. So my business was doing that education just sort of for myself, which I haven't been pursuing it since the pandemic. So I've had very little of my own work, but that's been okay, just working for the American company as we adapted for online, which I was kind of well suited. Nobody's ever asked me about what's going on here, but this is my care partner skills demonstrator. She helps me out with lots of hands-on demonstration. There are some opportunities now. I mean, the pandemic's really shone a light on how tough, I'll say, the conditions are for long-term care. And so I am currently following some leads and pursuing better education practices in Ontario where I live. But yeah, again, super not specific question necessarily, because I'm really slightly unfocused.
It's great. So you're just sort of asking what comes up for all of us around this in general. Okay, that's why I wanted to be clear on like what. Okay, great. Clear on being open is totally fine. All right. Anyone have a hit they want to start, or I can? Okay, yeah, go ahead, Jessie.
You can also go first too. I know if there's nobody going, then I usually pick up pretty quick.
It's great. Yeah, you and I can usually pick up quickly. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead. You can go.
Okay, so basically, I pulled from each of those 3 different cards for you, especially because your focus is a little bit out there. The very first thing I got was from the angel area, or from the angel cards from my family home. I got willingness. And one of the things about willingness to me, when willingness comes up, it's how willing am I to act? And again, it's about your inspiration. If you don't feel that spark of inspired act, then you're not going to be able to get the drive to commit to the work that's necessary to run your own business. There's just so much to do. So then I pulled out from the Angelarium 2 angel cards just to give me an idea, because the very first one was the Angel of Snow, which is Shelagiel, and the other was Duma, which is the Angel of Dreams. So it feels to me like it's really time, winter and the snow is a time where everything gets quiet, everything dampens down and we come to a quieter place. And we allow the echoes of things to just sound off the snow, just that allowing of that. And then having the Angel of Dreams, Duma, come in is really, we want to get that inspiration to come through. So one of the things that popped into my mind is, do you ever get pain at the back of your head, at the base of your skull there? Like a tightness and pain?
Yeah, I have an injury where this area is often, it's all pulling all the time because the bones are they'd have to like re-break. Anyways, yeah.
Well, I could feel some real tightness and tension back there as I tuned into you. And what that tells me is that area right there is your well of dreams chakra. It's where we receive the inspired act. It's where we receive that information. Oftentimes when people will tell me they have a pain back there, I'll ask them, how willing are you to act on what you're getting inspired to do or to say? And it does feel like there's some real trauma around this whole throat chakra, which is where we sound our frequency out into the creation. You know, the every religion has this saying of, you know, God spoke and then there was things, right? And that sound is the organizing principle of matter. Everything operates on vibration. And our voice is how we begin to sound our dreams out into the creation, and it starts to form around them. And lastly, I did pull 3 tarot cards for you. And what I got was the 5 of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. So the Queen of Pentacles, she's the businesswoman. You know, it's really like you need to get into touch with your businesswoman part of yourself. Maybe take a course on business classes, on training in your in finances, something like that. I'll leave that to Karen because that's her bag and she's got it better than me, I'm sure. But the 5 of Pentacles is about being rejected from something that you felt like you really worked hard and built. So if you feel and again, I'm getting a throat trigger issue, so I'm going to try and wrap it up before it goes off. But if you feel kicked out of something, it's time for you to really hold that feeling until it's done. You know, we have to hold a feeling and express that feeling until it's over. Otherwise, it controls us and we try to fix it all the time. Don't. Just indulge in it. You weren't kicked out. You're not a church goer. You're a church builder.
Thank you. Yeah, definite throat. And also it may be interesting to note, thanks for helping me clear, I think she's helping me clear my throat. But yeah, I don't know if you can hear me right now, Jessie, but my boss's name is Snow. So yeah.
Wow, it's great. That's fun. All right. Well, let's see. So your eyes are very similar to Anissa's. I think you're artist. I think you have artisan and priestess talents. Artisan's about freedom, creativity, pleasure, and energy. Priestess is about inspiration, vision, passion, motivation. They see not only what's here, they see what's possible. They want to inspire and motivate people to stretch and reach for what's possible. When it's the second talent, they want to be good in the world and have a positive impact in the world, but a lot of it gets turned inwards. And so they see for themselves like, oh, I need to grow, I need to be better, I need to do more. So they can be hard on themselves and be perfectionists with themselves. Does that make sense that you've had some challenges with that?
Definitely.
Okay. And your third is either scholar or server. And so yours really could be server. Do you have a tendency you'd really rather like be with people and be honoring and caring of life rather than being in details and information?
Yeah, details are not my forte.
Not your thing, yeah. So I think your artisan, priestess, and server. So where Anissa has some about data and information. Yeah, so yours is all, so freedom, ideas, energy, right? Pleasure, and then feelings and emotions are your space. And so to some extent, your gift is not about grounding. It's really about flowing, right? So artisan can have flow, priestess, and server both have flow, right? So you're flowing in the energy with people. So in terms of having your own business, like part of it is you don't want to deal with some of the details of that. And so having someone that you work with, either someone that you hire or someone that you partner with that addresses those things is the way to go. Your strength so is being with people. And so for example, so all kinds of different energy healing. I think that you naturally do energy healing when you're with people. And I think you'd be really great with pets probably. So working with people and working with animals. You could really be great with working with kids. I mean, you and Anissa have a lot of just similarities in your gifts. You particularly have such a gentle flavor. And so that you're working with Alzheimer's and just so honoring and caring of people in whatever stage of life they're in makes a lot of sense, right? So it's honoring people and honoring the family and uplifting the family experience altogether. So like a death doula, for example, if that's something that interests you. I know there are all kinds of alternative ways that people can end just end their lives and continue on, have their body continue on, and just what happens spiritually with people, for people. And my girlfriend's cat actually, she was getting so close, and so she transitioned today. And just those are examples of things that, so not where you have to go to school and study something, but where you naturally have gifts. So those are the kinds of things that I think would be great for you. And definitely working with a group or other, just other people that support the part of the business that's not your area.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, great. Let's see. So Karen, go ahead, and then we'll have Cara.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo something that Laureli said. It's not always necessary that you, as you're starting your own business, actually do your own books, but you need to have an understanding so that if you do hire someone, and first of all, hiring the right person, a good bookkeeper, can make a big difference. But secondly, so that you can have productive conversations with whoever's providing you the information for your business. So again, that's something that, like even hiring a great bookkeeper is something I can help with. But yeah, I totally get, and I agree with you, Laureli, about the server part of her. I was seeing that as you were talking about it. You come from your heart. So something like numbers is not really the most interesting thing to you, but you can always have somebody help you with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Karen. All right, Cara, are you ready?
Yeah, hi Jess. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Yeah, the focus on service and some of the themes that are already emerging tonight of people in their questions. So one of the big drivers of your chart is your Cancer moon, which is also the ruler of your chart because you're also a Cancer rising. And this part of Cancer, where your moon is, all of Cancer is a caregiver, right? Where Cancer is that that healer, that nurturer, that mothering energy, but especially the position of your moon in Cancer. It's very much like I want to protect people. So there's this, so as a caring aspect, but there's also a little bit of a warrior or defender aspect that comes in with this position. So, Cancer, though it is a softer sign, it is also very good with business. Its opposite is Capricorn. They share an energy of being good at managing. So, and especially with this part of Cancer, it's like, I want to be able to like kind of create my fortress in some way, my protective fortress, and having the skills to be able to do that. So I do see that you have a significant amount of business skill, both with your Cancer moon, and also when I look at your, interesting, you have some similarities in the previous chart, also very, very passionate and very driven. So I think part of that is getting a little bit softened right now because of some transits. So for people that don't know, a transit is where a planet is now and how it cues different life experiences. So we all know, like, there's sometimes where we're like feeling in flow and everything's moving and everything's happening. And then there's other times where you feel like you kind of keep hitting roadblocks and things like that. So you have some transits right now, Jess, that are making things a little bit fuzzier. Like, where should I go? Everything's shifting and changing. Like, I'm developing a new vision for who I am and what I want to be. And so it's just important to know that that's just part of the life cycle that you're in right now. And so it's not necessarily like everything is going to be illuminated instantly. You're in a longer process, a couple-year process of remaking who you are. And there's a lot of pressure at the same time. So it's not just all soft and flowy, although some of it is. But there's also like a lot of shifting and changing that could really dramatically change what you decide to do. I think that you'll always have that energy of wanting to be a helper. You also have a lot of Pisces energy, right? Wanting to care for the underdog, be able to help those that that maybe can't help themselves, that need something. But there's another piece that I feel like other people have been bringing in, and it's that creative side of you, that artisan side. You do look like you have quite a bit of creativity in your chart, a lot of artistic skills and gifts. And it looks really central to who you are. And so I think that might be one way to approach, like, whatever may be developing in you and coming out in you, that might be, using a creative process to just kind of work through all the possibilities and your intuitive gifts. And it might be, getting out whatever medium you like, watercolor or whatever it is, and just kind of working through that medium and working through your issues with that. I shouldn't say issues, but the possibilities, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. And I also, when I look at your chart too, I get this sense of someone who loves knowledge, loves freedom, loves experience, loves adventure. And I haven't heard you say anything about that at all. And I kind of am wondering if maybe like your childhood kind of like got you into a certain groove, a certain path in some way, and maybe prohibited a little bit of that, letting yourself travel and do whatever it is that's really, a unique expression of yourself. Again, not to say that you're not also a helper and caretaker and all those things, but that might be part of this, is like trying to go, okay, how can I honor all these other parts of myself too?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see here. The other thing I'll say is you have good luck with money, so don't worry too much. Right? You have some natural assistance in that way. And the other thing I'll say is that today is the new moon in Aries, and that new moon falls in an important part of your chart that I think will give you a little oomph for working through all the things we're talking about today. So you might want to do a little ritual today, tonight, just kind of bringing in that fresh, powerful energy of the new moon in Aries.
Yes, I will do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Jess, so much for your question. And lovely being with you again. All right. Next in line, we have Lena. It's saying we have two people with similar names. So this is Lienna. Lena, let's get you to the front. All right. Yes. Oh, yes. Lena. All right. What is your question? Lovely to be with you again.
Hi, is there two Lenas or?
Well, there are
just
two
me?
people that have similar names, and you're in line first, and the other person is Lena, I think.
Oh, okay.
Marina or Lena?
Might go by Lena. It's
Lena.
Lienna, but pronounced Lena.
Yep.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah, Lena, you're next. So you go ahead and ask your question.
Hold on just one moment. Close the door. So my question is about guidance to find about my next career or what I want to do.
Hey, did you want to share a little bit about your context and like anything about what I can't remember if you've done caregiving or what have you done before?
So I've been with the state government for about 23 years. So I'm currently a business analyst for the Medicaid system. And the state career has just been what I have to do, right? Just have to have, a job to support my family. And but I don't think it's really what I really want to do. And I probably have about 7 years that I can retire from it. I really don't see myself staying in, with the state, but feel like I have to stay where I'm at.
You're saying
but
you
I
have
just feel
7 years.
trapped.
You have 7 years before you can retire with the way they have the packages set up. Is that what? And you're
Yes.
asking for what to build for 7 years from now, or what you might do so you don't wait 7 years.
Probably, yeah. What can I do so I don't have to wait the 7 years? I just feel like I'm not happy. You just feel like there's something else out there for me. I keep trying to venture out. I have also an entrepreneur spirit. My families have had restaurants and businesses. And so I don't know if I necessarily want to be my own boss, but I just feel like I want to do something else. But I've lost that touch of creativity. I don't know. I just feel like, I could do whatever I set my heart to, but it's just, I just feel a little bit lost. I'm not sure I try to look at other businesses, other investment type stuff, but other things might attract to me, but then I just don't follow through with it, or just kind of not sure. If I'm even going in the right direction, or am I really supposed to just stay where I'm at?
It's great. It's great. All right, I'm going to jump in and I'll answer a little bit first on this one. So I know I've seen you before a number of times, and I just feel your energy. I can't see your eyes as well, maybe as I might. I'm thinking that you. So I know. I know that you've always felt like really strong that you have a bunch of server in your chart, and that's why I said caregiving earlier. So I think this may be server, and you're either server priest scholar or server scholar, and then I'm trying to think of it's could be artisan or priest, but it feels like server and priest and scholar, something like that. So if that's the case, well, let's see. So what I was saying earlier with Jess, when I was describing priest priestess, so it's about seeing not only what's here, seeing what's possible, wanting to inspire and motivate people to stretch and reach for what's possible. And when it's second, they turn that inwards and they tend to see for themselves, I need to do better, I need to do more. And they can be perfectionists with themselves. Does that match your experience with you? That you're generally harder on you than you are with other people?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that you're probably server, priest, priestess, and scholar. So server is about love, intimacy, and deep connection. It's about honoring people and life. And then priest, priestess is about emotions. It's about inspiring people to grow, right? So to honor what's in integrity for them, it could be about spirituality. And then scholar is about data and information. And we typically, I draw like the shapes like this. So we grow into our third talent. I'm going to say we grow into our third talent, and then our second, and then our first. So in the beginning, when we're younger, our third is what's bigger, and your third is scholar. That's the one that would be more likely to be a business analyst. And you can say, to some extent, the second one, priest, priestess, and scholar. Priest, priestess sees the big picture of something, can sense if something's aligned, and then scholar tracks all the details, like getting it into alignment, you'd say. The server is about people. And so we start off this proportion, and ideally as we grow, we flip and we become this proportion. So the server at the top would be the biggest. So for you, the one that's about love and intimacy and deep connection and being with people, to me, is the most important thing. Something that's affirming of all life. Does that make sense to you, that you have a huge heart and you feel into people's hearts all the time? Yeah. So to me, your top two gifts are about people and emotionality and alignment. People being authentic and real and aligning with what's true for them, feeling loved and honored and seen, and really learning to love themselves. So, and this is where I'm imagining, you're sitting at a computer most of the day and working with data? Is that primarily what you do? So while you have natural capacity at this, if you're not able to do this where you see the direct impact on people, and you're interacting with people in a way that feels really honoring and caring, you're not sharing the best of who you are. And I can imagine, while your work in some ways is fulfilling, it's really not nearly as fulfilling as what the real deep calling is inside you. And yeah, so I could look for different things that are all about people. I'll just give you a list of some of the pieces in the way I'm redoing the chart. Where is it?
Laureli, the other thing is I'm also like an introvert. So I think I like to help people. It's just, I also like to be behind the scene, like not, because I feel their problems and issues. So that makes it harder for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, here, I'll just throw this up. I'm redoing the whole chart. So I'll share my screen just so it's on here for a moment. So I know there's tons and tons of data here. These are these 7 talents, and I'm shifting to work with the concept of what they are and not the names of them. So you have love and inspiration and knowledge, right? So love, inspiration, and knowledge. And the one that you have the most of is love, and it is introverted. This whole side is introverted. And so examples of the kinds of things they love are human resources or talent management, administration, nature, environmentalism, nonprofits, customer service, hospitality. It can be all kinds of, honor and care of people and animals. Can be, the medical field, dentistry, herbalism, like all those kinds of things, sign language interpretation, like examples of things like that, things that directly impact people in life.
Interesting, because I used to do HR for years, but it was just too much. Like I got into, people weren't behaving, or you're just kind of like, you just need to do the right thing.
Part of the trick and the trouble with HR is too, is it gets pinned in of like, you're supposed to honor the business, not the people sometimes. And that gets, in theory, it's people, but it's not actually people. So just for example, like you could be great at working with people, like exactly the kinds of questions we're answering now, and helping people see how they might shift and change their life in a way that honors them, or helping them rewrite resumes, or, helping them have a more optimistic outlook on what's possible for them. There's examples of how you can bring like kind of this grounded background and the way that you work with people into honoring who people are now. So those are the kinds of things. You could, so working more one-on-one with people to take some of the, just trying like what Karen is attempting to do of the, she's growing, Karen is doing and growing her business right now. She's been switching from being an accountant inside businesses to working individually with people and coaching. Like, so seeing how you can take that to working with people. Since you don't, it's extroverted and you don't love being out there. So being, making wise choices of how you get connected to all the people to get the business, for example, or you might work with, you might work with different practitioners and supporting them in their businesses and things like that. There's examples. But so working individually with people and having more of a direct connection with people and feeling like feeling inspired by and really believing in the impact that you're making and the work that you're doing. And you might in the government, and you might not feel as enough of a connection about that. Is
that makes sense? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, Jessie, go ahead.
Hi, nice to see you again. I believe I've seen you at some other events before. Well, I went ahead and I'll just be really kind of quick. First of all, and this just keeps coming up today, is the Duma, the dreams. And so really when we're trying to figure out what our passion is, we have to give ourselves permission to dream. As soon as I tuned into you, I started getting a really sharp pain through my left shoulder and like the neck into my left shoulder. When we start to receive energy from source, we've got this central column that goes up into source, and that's how we puncture the veil. We think of it as the chakra system. But once we start to bring that divine energy back down, or that energy of the consciousness of space between matter, as we bring it in, it comes through a blueprint in our body and it travels. And we see this in the tree of life. This is where our geometry comes from. And what I'm feeling is on that left side for you is where we start to take action on steps. Inspired action. This is our masculine energy as we bring it down from source. What can I do with all the things I feel like I want to do? And it's like you've gotten your arm stalled out for willingness to take action when you get an inspiration. So I find a lot of clients when they're asking for what could I do, what should I do, you already know what you want to do, but you've decided that it's either not good enough, or you can't make enough money at it, or the steps are too complicated, or whatever that is. When I pulled up the Angelarium cards, not only did I get the dream Duma, but I also got Gavora, which is the left hand of judgment. And it feels like you get a little too judgmental about your ideas of things, and you shut yourself down before you even let yourself enjoy what you're getting. And as far as the Tarot goes, I got, the Six of Cups, the King of Wands, and the Sun card. So if you give yourself permission to act on your inspired passion, and I think you had the passion from childhood, something that you desired in childhood. Six of Cups is go back to that innocence. When I was a kid, I used to set all of my teddy bears up, all my stuffed animals, and I'd make math tests for them. And then I'd take them, and then I'd grade them, and then I'd talk to them about their results. Like, I've always wanted to be a teacher. So if we give ourselves permission to go into that childhood self that was really excited, the sun begins to radiate from us. The last piece I'm going to share. One of the things that we're having happen right now is the baby boomer generation is aging out. They need support. They need compassionate support. They need to understand how to navigate the system, how to navigate Medicare, how to navigate transitioning from their homes into smaller spaces, how to decide if they need an assisted living or not. These fields supporting that generation is huge right now. And not just putting our elderly into care facilities and forgetting them. They are our window to the truth of our history as well as our future. So those people need to be honored. And the very last thing I'm going to say is what came up for me when you said that I take on so much. You know, that isn't, you're not cursed to that. Being an empath is the nature of humanity. It's part of our natural gifts. Some of us are more inclined than others, and so we feel like we're a victim of it. The reality is it's just empathic hygiene. It's just learning how to have control of your energetic matrix, how to give yourself that room when you need it, how to take care of that. HR burned you out because you didn't know how to do that. And so you were trying to internalize and take it on. Like, just like when I took on Jess's cough, when her throat chakra, you know, we have to be willing. I'm willing to do that here because that's what I'm here serving as part of why I'm here, is to bring that part of the healing process into this. So, but if you're not, you get that, you have control of that is what I want to say. Just learn. That's something you got to learn.
Makes sense. Thank you, Jessie.
I can go, Laureli.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hi, Lena. You're doing okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, there's so many different charts that we use in astrology. We look at your natal chart. We look at transits. We look at something called progressive charts and midpoints and all these things. And normally in this forum, I don't necessarily have a chance to bring in all of it, but I had a little more time and I was kind of poking around and realized that in this ancient system called profections, you're in what we call a 10th house year, which is a career year where you're working through vocation, the exact topic that we're here talking about right now. And interestingly, the planet that brings a lot of change, often very radical change, is going through that part of your chart. So it makes sense that, you know, I loved how Laureli clarified that you're not necessarily looking for 7 years down the road. You're looking for a change now that really moves you forward on finding your passion or enacting it. I do agree with Jessie. I was picking up on similar energies in your chart of there being already a deep knowing, and that the process is really about trusting that you know how to take right action. And right now you have your Mars, which is our planet of action, in the sign of Gemini. And actually that's where it is right now in the sky. It's like activating you. So you might have even noticed in the last few weeks, has your energy been up where you're like, I feel like I got to start going, make things happen, right? It's a time where, yeah, you feel a lot of energy and you want to make change. Mars is a planet that gets really frustrated. It's like it needs to move forward in some way. So it's coming on its every 2-year journey of trying to like get you moving in some way. So that's part of it. One thing that's sometimes challenging though with Mars and Gemini is that you want to take action in lots of different ways. There's lots of possibilities, lots of ways to be able to go. And the challenge with your Mars and Gemini is that you have to make a choice of which direction. If you're at like you're at the road, maybe there's 8 different options, right? You have some challenge to actually have to make that choice. So I am curious, we probably don't have a chance to dig into it all in this forum, but exploring what it is that's already calling to you. You look like you have a great deal of creativity, and I think that was coming through with some of Laureli's, feeling your artisanness. There's this sense of devotion to the creative process, to the craft. There's this sense of humility, of being part of something, that being part of some kind of creative process or an awakening of some kind that your chart feels really, really strong in. Do you mind sharing with us, Linda? Do you have a sense of like, if I could do anything? You mentioned being, having some entrepreneurship leanings. Do you know what that thing could be, of what you might want to put some of your energy on?
I don't. That's where I feel a little bit of blocked. Like,
yeah, okay.
I don't even know what, like, I don't know. I don't even know what fun, what, I don't know. I just feel like if I could unblock that, I could help people or can do more,
Yeah.
once I can figure that out. But nothing is just kind of driving me right now. It's kind of like just the motion of doing,
Okay.
and no time for me to explore what it is that I want to do. I don't know, that will make me happy or give me some joy. I think that's kind of what I'm struggling with.
I'll plant a few ideas, and I'll also suggest that one challenge that you have in your chart is that you have a lot of planets in the middle part of Libra, and mid-Libra feels a devotion to some kind of societal contracts. So there's this sense of I'm responsible, I have a sense of duty. And so I think that's some of what you're pushing up against right now, is like, I've got the good job and the retirement's just a few years away and I've done everything right, but I'm not, is it really feeding my soul? So there's a process of perhaps having to unravel some of what one thinks, what success looks like to some degree, right? So that's one piece, one step. When I look at things that you could be really, really good at in terms of things you might want to think about, it looks like you do have natural creativity. I mean, your chart has the potential to be working in design, graphic design, interior design, anything around beauty and aesthetics. Heck, you could do modeling, Lena. There's this sense of beauty and harmony and using your energies in those ways. And you also look like you'd be really fantastic at working with money and finance, and even building your own business that relates to those things. You have a really strong Venus, and she represents beauty and also resources. So being able to use your skills around that. Those areas as well. And you are, doing analyst work. I mean, I see how you're very, very skilled in that. And sometimes it's hard to let go of the things that we're really good at to allow more of what we really love. And perhaps there's a way that you can braid all of those things together and use those skills that you're so great with in a way that feels really, like it feeds you.
That makes sense. Thank you.
There's one quick thing I put in the chat as examples of steps if you wanted. So DEI consulting, diversity, equity, inclusion, is growing so much right now. An example of a great firm is Lindsay T.H. Jackson, so LTHJ Global, is growing. And so that's an example of a local firm. So it's entrepreneurial, great people to work with. And they might want someone who's a little bit more behind the scenes that's doing some support with data analysis, business analysis, and customer service, and really helping them on client packages and but with clients. So it might be a way that you're with people and doing some of your business work and with great people, and it's a smaller entrepreneurial firm, and you can see the impact that you're making. So that would be like an example of a step towards something that I think is more of a mixture of what you value and ideas.
May I share one more thing?
Yeah.
The other piece too is that, like we talked about earlier, for everything, there's a season. And it may be that there's some other things, Lena, that are popping up to the forefront of needing to get worked through and worked with. And I'll just say that more generally, and you can interpret that how you wish. But I get this sense when I look at your chart that there's something else that has to be decided or worked with first before you're able to move forward on really getting more clarity around this. So if that resonates with you, maybe just kind of sit with that a little bit more. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, great. All right, Karen, anything brief you wanted to share, or I have to share for everything? I can't remember if you shared a little bit earlier. We've got more questions. Okay, great. All right, sweet. Thanks, Lena, for your questions so much. All right. And okay, let's see. So I'm attempting to, I think there are a few people that are attempting to leave for another event possibly that starts soon. So I'm attempting to see how we could fit everyone in. So I think, let's see. And just Cara, you and I, we can totally share a lot. So we got to just keep working on making ourselves more quick. So I think,
Sorry.
It's okay. I know I do this too. So I think Carol, let's go find Carol. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
okay. I
Jump.
thought I was going to be last, so I was like excited that
right.
oh
Are you someone that's waiting to go to something else, or can you wait? Because if you
no, I can wait.
you can wait.
No, I
Okay,
can
let's
wait.
go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
How about Pauline? Pauline, are
Yes,
you?
hi. Got me? I don't know if you can see me, but I don't think it matters, right? Thank you, Carol. I mean, I have till half an hour if you want to go first, since you will be waiting for me. But thank you, if you
No,
really don't mind.
I'm trying to get you in here. I'm trying to find where you are, though. I don't have you pulled in yet. Does it say Pauline on your?
I know I came in after Carol. I know she was already listed, so that's why I said that.
Oh, here we are. I've got you. Okay. So what is your question? And I will, so did you send information to Cara? Cara, do you have it?
I know I'm pretty much breaking up, so I don't know if you're going to hear anything I say.
Pauline, if you can do anything to move around the microphone, maybe where it is, we're getting a little bit of static.
Turn off everything that's in my house. Can you hear me now?
It's a little hard to hear you.
Okay, well, there's nothing else I can do. I don't know what else to do. So,
And you're on a phone?
I'm on a phone, and I don't have a Wi-Fi system, so my phone is
Sorry.
my
Can you get over towards maybe towards a window or something where your signal, or by the router where your Wi-Fi might
should I call in maybe? Is that better if I just call in?
maybe go? It might be. It just, I don't think it's the signal, because your video is okay. It's just the sound is hard. We'll go. What is your question?
Okay, I really don't want to waste any more time for other people, so I'm going to try to call in, see if it's better, and then let Carol go.
All right, well, let's, and so we'll go to the next question, then call back in, and we'll get you quickly. All right, so Lena is next. All right, Lena, let's get you here to the front.
Hi.
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear and see me okay?
We can.
Good. All right. Thank you. So I wrote some things down because I don't know how succinct my question is, but I've been really stuck for a while. And it may not necessarily be about career and work, but it's probably all related to everything. And I just, I struggle with tiredness and fatigue. I struggle with not wanting to look at reality and wanting to hide from reality and just not wanting to deal. I'm just in a lot of avoidance, I feel like. Anyway, so whatever comes up around that, and I'm willing to give more information if you have questions.
Go ahead, Jessie.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, and I want to witness the vulnerability I can definitely feel in you, and the pain that I feel that you want to get rid of. I want to witness that. When we are stuck, it's not because we don't want to get out of it, and it's not because we've done something wrong. In general, it's because we've decided that what we're feeling is wrong. And the reality is life isn't supposed to always be good and happy. Sometimes it's just really downright hard and dirty and complicated. And what I'm feeling with you is, honestly, I feel like you have a really, really big fracture. My heart feels like it's like numb almost. And my throat feels really hard. And my head feels like I'm just trying to figure all this out. And when we have that kind of a disconnect between our heart and our head, we can't really express anything truly, and it creates all kinds of issues. When I was in training for energy work, one of the things we called, you have all the looks on the hallmarks of what we were trained as energy workers disease. If you are not an active energy worker, then yeah, that might be part of the issue. Fibromyalgia tends to come from having an oversensory input from our fascia tissue, from our proprioceptive skills, and our body is trying to respond to that, but we haven't given it the tools or the steps or the means in which to do anything with what it's picking up. You have no way right now of being able to discern if what you're feeling is yours or someone else's. Does that sound fair? Yeah. So sometimes you're just trying to process something and you think it's yours, but it's not. Or sometimes you're trying to process something and you're like, I don't want, this isn't even mine, but it is. Right? And so one of the things that I would offer is when we feel that overwhelm and we just don't want to deal, we don't want to cope, it's time to get indulgent in your pain. It's really time to indulge in that pain and that misery and not try to turn it off, not try to shut it down, not try to move through it, not try to heal it, not try to fix it. It's time to witness it. It's time to witness it and be real with it and be open with it. It's not a problem. It's actually a gift when we have this kind of pain. The gift is that it's showing us you're ready for change. You're ready to do something differently. And the pain is there to show you where specifically you're failing to meet yourself, failing to love yourself, failing to connect with yourself, failing to be your full self. And so the pain is just there to say, ouch, that doesn't feel good to me. And ask yourself when the pain comes up, what do I need to feel right now? You know, where am I at right now? And we can go into more in that, but I don't want to take over the whole thing with that.
Thank you.
Great, Jessie. I appreciate your demonstration, right? Great value being brief for me. So yeah, so Lena, so I so align with the things that Jessie was sharing. And so for me, one of your big gifts is about love. And one of the big lessons of that is self-love and self-care. And I'm wondering if some of this goes way back to conception and birth. And I'm wondering about what was the situation with your parents around that time as you were coming into being?
Well, there was a lot going on. My mom, I know that my mom was terrified of having a kid, and she seriously thought about trying to give me to somebody, though she didn't. And I don't think my parents had any way to know how to raise children. That's one thing. And another thing is that another psychic told me something that I don't know if it's true or not, but she told me that I totally freaked my parents out when I was an infant. That she said I had the ability to move objects around. I have no memory of this, but I do know that my dad really lost his temper with me when I was very small, and I think I just broke at that moment.
So I think that it sounds like your parents were in a position that was hard for them before you were even here, when your mom was first pregnant, and they were in this push-pull about whether to have you, is my guess. They wanted you, they didn't want you, like this mixture. And I just feel like this whole question has been here your whole life of, do I belong? Am I worthy? You know, and it's the most painful thing to face into this. And so there's been a turning away and not facing your whole life because this has been so painful. And yeah, I totally see that you kind of with a whole lot of gifts, and that it scared others, right? So you have an energy that can kind of, it's part of it was in some ways like the pain, you had to make your energy small, but I think you naturally are connected to energy and flowing in space. And yeah, so it's a mixture of all these things. So part of it is tapping back into what those gifts are, but it's really self-love and knowing that you're worthy. You are allowed to come here for a reason, right? You've made it all this time. You clearly are supposed to be here. And so it's you loving you in the ways that they could not love you, right? The ways they were not open, just to your being here and then to the gifts that you bring. And I brought all three of my stuffed animals that I have here behind my desk up. So this is Lila and Ursula and bears. So I think it's important that you have something that's you when you're little, and you with those gifts that you love. And that's the
The
way
gifts that I love, I don't know what those are at this point.
Well, the stories that you were told, let's just play with those stories that you were told. I think that you're able to move energetically around in the space without being physically moving around. And so it makes sense to me that you could move other objects energetically.
Oh,
Yeah. But I think the big key to me is you, for you to love you and the self-love of you. Right. And that's the big thing to face. And I think that everything will come from that. So I think it's great to actually go get someone if you don't have someone.
oh, you mean right
like
now?
But a stuffed animal, for example,
Yeah.
get someone that feels really good, that you love to look at and touch and feel, that is the energy of little you, and for you to love this being, love her the way they weren't able to love you. So Karen just went and got someone.
Okay.
See? Can you see Karen? Yeah, Karen. Yeah, so this is a way that you can love you now. And it's supportive of also you feeling you as the adult now, but you loving you as your little, right? And it'll come all the way through to you now. So to me,
Okay.
this is part of your gift. It's healing of the parts of you that have so much pain. And I just think it'll impact all the things you talked about. Go ahead, Karen or Cara.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, this isn't financial stuff, but this is my little hedgehog, and it is so soft. And Lorelei had suggested this to me, oh gosh, in a conversation we had several years ago. And when I found this guy, I don't know, something really shifted for me because I was alone and wanting to be in a relationship. And I'm just going to relate this story, and hopefully it will help you. But I would say goodnight to it every night, like it was my partner, my lover. And I'm in a relationship now with a real person. I feel like the energy that I created had shifted because I was putting it out there, and this little guy kind of helped me focus it. And then eventually what I really wanted came true. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that's my story.
Great. And Jessie had a little bit more to share just before Cara goes. Go ahead, Jessie.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of pick up on what Laureli was talking about. When we are in utero, we form what is called our Earth Star and our Soul Star chakras. This is that primary prism that breaks up our soul into the spectrums of how we're going to be in the world. And that whole period, we are forming and shaping the core programming that we're going to then associate and relate to the world with. So then that first year of development, from infancy into our first, stages of awareness of this world outside of us, that's where we write all the core programming of our root chakra. Am I loved? Am I held? Am I safe? Does my family want me? So when we have things that are there, then that gets like written into our code throughout our whole matrix. And that's been part of the issue. So really learning how to rewrite your code is huge. And that's something that we actually do a lot of in the Life Mastery program, is learning how to address, find, and hold that little girl, that little infant part of yourself. As Laureli was talking about, like bringing something forward as a representation of the child girl that you're holding. For myself, my in utero experience was very bad because of scar tissue attachment, so I barely survived it. I was starved when I came out of the womb. And then my mother barely survived my birth, so I was separated from her while she was in the hospital. That created all these really core instability programming. And I've been able to recover from it. You can recover from this stuff. It's not written in stone. It is changeable, it's malleable, it's adaptable. And also getting pictures of yourself as an infant, as a child, and starting to see and witness those things about her that you love. Ask for people from your history of stories about you that they loved about you, things that they loved about you. And the gifts thing. I myself was a very highly activated, highly gifted child. I was talking in full sentences before I was out of diapers and giving parenting advice to people. I saw fairies and angels. I freaked everybody out who saw me. And I shut all of that down. Again, these things are not permanent. You can recover from them. I just wanted to throw that out there because I can feel that fear of like, it's just the way it is as we're telling you this stuff. It's not. It's just the way it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, great. Cara.
Lena.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm just processing your chart. You have you're in I don't know if you know astrology very well, but you're an Aquarius rising, and Aquarius rising can feel really different, right? People, hard to be understood. Sometimes some challenges in connecting, and so I'm hearing some of that in your story, and it sounds like maybe being in a family that didn't fully appreciate your differences and your gifts and all that you have to offer. You right now, the fatigue that you're experiencing, has that just been in the last year or so, or 6 months or so, or is it?
It's been longer than that, but it's changed. It's gone through a lot of different changes, but I'd say a few years.
Okay, gotcha. There's definitely some planetary transits right now that could be exacerbating that to some degree. You have, being in Aquarius rising, you have Saturn in Aquarius right now, going through your house of vitality. So that can bring some dampening of energy and kind of working through. And it's also, part of the, what's kind of called for during that time period is looking at structures, routines, things that you can, really practical things that you can do to kind of best support you in your energy. So you may notice, having to get a little more rigid than you might normally want to be able to really work with that. And that some of the stuckness could come from that process or from this transit that's kind of coming in and saying, all right, Lena, what do you need to put in place to be able to best be yourself and bring out your talents and your gifts in some way. One of the questions that your chart kind of asks is looking at, how do I limit myself? And does that sound like, is that something that you work with or notice or?
Yeah, I know that's there. I mean, it's so mixed in with everything else, it's hard to separate it out, but yeah, it's there.
Yeah. You look like you have a lot of gifts around bringing out a message, sharing information. There's a lot, when I look at your chart, I get the sense of someone who knows a lot of things and wants to be able to share, and actually has a lot of gifts at being able to both teach and also to like get a message out to a very broad audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you know what that's about? What it is you might like to share with folks?
I kind of just have a vague sense. I think it may include all the healing that I need to do for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this time of being stuck and working through avoidance and all the different things may be it may be a gift. It may be something that's helping you to be able to develop your thoughts and ideas that you can share with others around healing. Is that what it sounds like? Yeah.
Perhaps. I'm really not sure, but I am good at communicating, and I am good at communicating ideas.
Yeah, I would say so. And I have a feeling too, the question of, could you move objects with your mind? I mean, you do have a lot of Aquarian energy, which brings in really esoteric gifts and skills, but I also think that you probably are very telepathic and can communicate. I get the sense, there's broadband telepathy where you can communicate to a wide group. And then there's like more individual telepathy where you could communicate with a person. And you have some gifts around being able to share with a lot of people. So one, this is fantastic in terms of manifesting whatever it is that you want to put out into the world, or however you want to share your gifts. I mean, being able to put that intention and have it be able to go very, very far and wide. I want you to trust that you have that ability to do that.
Wow.
And it's also, it's also part of whatever message is going to want to come through you, being able to really shout that from the rooftops. It's almost like you have like a huge megaphone, and perhaps you're not using it yet, but you're going to be
Okay.
to some degree. And it looks like, I mean, when I talk about passion for knowledge and sharing, does that get you going in any way? Because it seems like it comes up in many ways in your chart.
Perhaps, but I think it's so clouded over right now that it's hard for me to connect to it.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good beginning, right? You're getting, your energy. I mean, look, if everyone on the panel, I mean, just to look at your energy right now versus when you first asked the question, you can see you're brightening, you're lightening, things are already starting to shift. So yeah, I think you're already on your way. There are definitely transits that bring a fair bit of loss. It's almost like things are intentionally unraveling right now. You're lightening your load is kind of how I see it in terms of your chart for some stuff to come into being. So I'm excited to.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great.
All right. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Very sweet. Thanks for your question. All right. So next, Pauline, I think you were the one Pauline, was that you that was attempting to come back in where we could hear you better? So Pauline, are you ready? Because we can go. And if not, Melissa is next. Yeah, we've got Pauline, Melissa, Natalie, Dee, Marina, and Martha.
I couldn't get back in. I didn't even try. I've been looking for the number, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask for a refund. I don't think are you hearing me perfectly?
I think we can hear you enough that we can get your answer. We can get your question now.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll do that then. It's a bit complicated. I just wanted to do a brief rundown, but I haven't worked most of my life. And I know at 60, most people would think just retire and forget about it. But I feel I have a huge mission, and I'm hoping whatever any of you can get for me, because I do feel like I have been, I guess, searching who I am and all that, and I've been, volunteering a lot, so I never got paid, and I had a husband at one time, and so I didn't have to work, and so I do know that there's something huge for me on, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I've been working on myself since the 90s, and I haven't gone out there to do anything. I sort of taught healing, and I finally realized I have to heal me first. So I'm almost done. I think we're always developing, but I think I'm supposed to go out there soon because of all this stuff that's been going on with the COVID. We're here to really bring. There's a lot of ascension happening, and I believe that I'm part of the process of assisting who I can. So that's basically it. I think I sent Cara my astrology information. So she's one of the people I was hoping at least.
Yep.
Whoever else feels drawn to give me an answer, that would be great.
Yep,
Thank you.
she's got it. All right, Jessie's ready to go. So Jessie will go, I will go, Karen may go, and Cara will go. All right, go ahead, Jessie.
Well, first of all, let me just thank you for the work that you've been doing since the 90s on yourself. I recognize and believe that we are collectively healing. I believe that as each one of us works on ourselves, we are working on the collective consciousness. And I do believe that people like you are here to be our pathfinders, our wayfinders, and you've lit torches for those of us who've come behind you to not need to do that work because you've faced it. So I really want to thank you for that and recognize that in you. I also want to bring to the forefront that when we start to wait for a time when we're ready to make a change in our lives, that time never comes because there's only one time and it's now. So we have to bring ourselves into the full now and be present and be willing to move forward with imperfect action, be willing to take steps and experiment. For myself, when I started first working with Laureli, actually doing tarot readings and energy work out of her home at the Psychic Gallery back in Portland years ago, I remember feeling like some days, God, I'm not ready to show up here today. You know, I was in a hard marriage. I was trying to rebuild my life. I was recovering from being DID and coming from an extreme trauma background. And I was just trying to figure out, how am I even serving? What do I even have to offer here? And as I came forward each time, each person I did a reading for, each session I did, I needed as much as that person who was there showing up. So when we get the call to do healing work and we really feel it's time to put ourselves out there, don't wait to be ready for it, because that time will never come. Be willing to step forward and be vulnerable. And I find with my clients, when I speak to this, when I speak to where I'm at, what I'm dealing with, what I'm moving forward through, they're like, oh my God, me too. And suddenly they have wisdom to share with me, and they're mirroring with me. And suddenly it's this witnessing we're doing together. That's the power of healing. It's not in doing, it's in witnessing and experiencing. So that's my 25 cents on that.
Thanks, Jessie. All right. I know Pauline was saying she's having a little bit of trouble with the audio. So yeah, this is definitely being recorded and it will be uploaded. So, and I will work on getting this one up quickly this week because I've got my internet on as of yesterday. All right. Karen, I know, did you want to jump in and say anything? Should I go? And then, okay, great. So Pauline, I got a little bit of a glimpse of your eyes. I know I've seen you here before too, so I'm remembering you from a little bit I could see. I just know your voice, I want to say, reminds me of growing up in Brooklyn. I'm 3/4 Jewish from Brooklyn, and no idea what your background is, but just your energy really feels like that to me. And so the thing that feels like it's here for me about you, and I think that you do this all the time, and I think it's to make it formal, is that you give people advice. I bet you give people advice all the time. So to me, the opportunity is to become some version of a coach. Did you want to say something? But it's to become some version of
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I never thought of that, but I'm not good with one-on-one people. I have a funny feeling like you. I like to network, so I like the idea of helping other people get out there. But I also thinking about real estate. That's just some practical. There's a part of me that I've always wanted to do that, but that's just.
I think that could be great. It's really that you want to help people. My sense is that you want to help people and you want to find solutions for people and you want to get people moving forward on things. I can just, your energy feels like it's like kind of running up alongside people going, come on, come on, come on, come on. So I think you want to be in a place where you can do that. You are very quick. I think real estate, if you're moving so quickly, is a way that you'd have an advantage. But I think you want to know who people are and where they want to go, and you want to give them good opportunities to move forward. You want to encourage people to flow forward. So that's why I was saying a coach, but it could be, it's great. Real estate totally could be the thing. That I just know you want to be able to get options in front of people and get them moving forward into it. That's really what you need, and you need to be around people that are willing to move forward. You have a very forward moving energy.
Thank you. That makes sense. That really makes sense. Thank you so much. That helps.
You are welcome.
Part of it.
All right, Karen, if you got something, go ahead, or Cara's next. Go ahead, Karen. Sure.
Sorry, did you say me or Karen? Me?
Yeah, Cara, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. All right, let's see here, Pauline. Yeah, it's cool to hear about your interest in real estate. What Laureli was saying about you moving fast, that's really apparent in your chart as well. You have a lot of Sagittarius energy, and in particular parts of Sagittarius that are very, very, very fast moving. So working in an industry where you have to be able to very quickly respond and make things happen, and something that involves movement where you're not just stuck behind a desk. Like Sagittarius is a fire sign, it needs to be out and about and mingling and moving. So I love that. You actually have what we call, so the MC in astrology, the midheaven, is a point in the chart that relates to some of our vocational work that we may find interesting. And you have Taurus ruling that, which is a sign that relates to land and real estate and wealth. So it's one indicator, another indicator of like, oh, yeah, that could be a cool industry for you to be in. So there's this sense of this kind of determination that comes through your chart, this passion, this energy, this almost like ferocity of being able to like go, and move. You also, I guess I said determined already. Yeah, there's just, there's so much of that in your chart. The other thing is that you have this ability to see what's possible, to see where things are and to see what's possible. And this can also be a really helpful skill to be able to weave into whatever it is that you choose to do in terms of career. The other thing is, there is another kind of component here around having faith in your ideas, trusting your voice to some degree. So I'm always a little curious. That's another theme that's come up a few times tonight. I can't see you, Pauline. Oh, there. Okay, there's your thing here. What questions do you have, Pauline, or anything I can clarify around what I was just looking at?
Can't give you much feedback because I could barely hear it. I hope it's going to be recorded properly. I just hope I have a better connection when I hear it. Thank you. Anyways, what I heard, I really enjoyed, but I don't really know exactly a lot of it. I didn't really quite hear.
Okay.
That's my fault, not yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I want to support you in allowing the assistance that you give people to be something that monetarily supports you. So I know Karen totally would believe in that too. So yeah, doing something where you own your value and you let people pay you and contribute to you to help fuel you to continue to give to others. Well, thank you so much, Pauline. All right, next we have Melissa.
Hello.
Okay, great. Yeah, come on up to the front.
Perfect. Okay, happy to be here. And then just a really quick synopsis on my background. So basically right now I'm starting my own business, doing energy healing and Akashic records readings, as well as giving out workshops on meditation and other modalities. And, it's very small. I only get a few clients a month and it's not enough to live off of. And I also have a background in human resource development. That's what I went to school for. And I really enjoy training and teaching adult learners, very much so. And I really want to combine those two together because they can be combined. And what I would like to do ultimately is bring mindfulness into the workplace, whether this be team building, what have you, because I have all of these healing modalities that I know how to do, as well as that HR experience that I did for so many years, to really, foster a good workplace environment with people working together. So my question is, what do you see for me doing ultimately? And just based off of the information that I shared, what intuitive hits are you getting? Anything you want to share, I'm open.
Well, so you mentioned events and you mentioned that you love training and working with learners. So I know that part of what people do with Akashic Records work is that they teach people to open their records. And there are tons of different modalities, as you mentioned, that you know. How are you teaching people right now?
If I get a gig at, like, let's say a yoga studio or something, I've been teaching meditation sessions. I'm also almost done getting certified in my MBSR. So that's facilitating different meditation styles. And then I've done workshops on the chakras, crystal healing. I'm pretty open.
And so are you doing some of these online on your own, or you're only doing it in collaboration with another venue?
It's only so far been in collaboration with another venue, and it's been online and in person.
So why in collaboration with another venue? I'm imagining in part of it, right? They're doing some marketing, they're helping bring people in for you, but why waiting for something like that?
That's exactly it. Because if I advertise on my own, I get like nothing. But if I advertise, if I have, let's say, a yoga studio advertising for me, then I'll get a nice big group.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I just say so, and you know that, and you've been attending for a long time, right? So you always could be a practitioner in our fairs, right? Just another way of getting right networked and shared around. And there are a lot of other groups that have people speak and give and offer things. I don't know if you know, I promote our work with Facebook ads, and so I can teach you how to do small Facebook ads for you and reach other people. So it doesn't just have to be people that you know. And there are some meetup groups where you're allowed to post other events and things like that. So other places where you can post and reach people. So it just seems like you teaching right now. I don't know how much you're actively reaching out to other places where you might offer your work. Like, is it referrals or how do you find them, these venues?
Over these venues, I mean, back when things were open, I was knocking on doors, no problem with that. I have no problem networking, emailing people, messaging people. A lot of times they're willing to work with you if you give them an attractive enough workshop. And then that's also how I get my clients. I do have a website and social media, but referrals are big. But like I said, it's not enough. If I could do this more so, that would be great, but it's not enough to live off of right now. And also that would only be half of it. I really need to be in the workplace training people in mindfulness and working with each other, because there's so many people always talk about toxic workplace environment. I know the solutions for that. I've worked in many. I can give you the skills and the tools to do it, but am I going to be able to do that working with a company, or do I have to do it on my own? Because that's what it's looking like. And that's very scary.
There are some organizations that were doing offering services to businesses so that they could take some of their like insurance spending and put it into these businesses that helped on care to prevent people from needing to use their medical insurance. So there are some businesses doing that. So I would research where those are and attempt to get in on those places. Yeah.
Businesses that are doing
I'll go look up the name
workshops.
of them. There's some different ones that I know of that have been experimenting with this. They're offering care. Well, so they work with a business. The business purchases their services, and all their employees get to use the. It's health. It's care for. I'm losing my words. It's wellness care rather than medical care.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So there are some businesses that's getting in on those, and it sounds like what you really want to do.
Okay.
I'll go look up some of them, and then Jessie's got something for you.
Hello, nice to see you again. Lovely to see you again. So I was just kind of listening in, and one of the things, my mother actually, she's a psychologist and she's an organizational psychologist and focuses in on toxic work environments. So it's needed. We need to have those understandings and awarenesses. I feel like it would be really beneficial for you if, you've been taken out of the way that you were used to doing things and you're wanting to transition away from one-on-one. We really can't make any money one-on-one, not any real money, So having it set up of workshops and beginning to build that's a great way for you to be able to start launching in. I feel like it would be really positive for you to contact and reach out to more larger organizations like Nike, Intel. I know that both of those companies, my husband works for Intel and I have many friends that work at Nike, and they actually every Friday morning at Nike have a grounding meditation they do as a collective. So there's a lot of new resources coming into work environments. So if you're wanting to work corporately, I would recommend, first of all, creating a presentation that's very professional, very polished, and that's something that you can take and send these different HR departments. And what is it that you're offering, really? Nobody wants to have you say, I'm just here to help your toxic work environments. No, they want to be focused on what are you going to apply to all work environments, right? Because they want all of these things to get better. So my husband, actually, he worked for an employee. One of the things that he did was run an employee group, and Intel and I know Nike both have this, and I would imagine that other companies do as well. These employee groups where they do presentations. So you can contact and see if they have those as a resource to be able to show up and do presentations for these employee groups of, short, concise 20 to 30 minute presentations of skills and tactics and techniques they can start employing in the workforce to either increase productivity, to increase camaraderie and teamwork environments, how do we quickly share conversations with an employee, a shared employee that we're having conflict with, really concise, sharp presentations of things that are problems in work environments, and make one up and send it as a little demo to those places and be like, hey, this is what I have to offer, and I've got a lot more. That's what it feels like. It would be really beneficial for you to do.
Yeah, because I'm so passionate about this. I'm going to start in about a week a class on getting certified in an learning management system program, so that I can create these things virtually, as to your point of presentation. So I think that's been the missing piece for me for a little bit of time. So that was helpful that you said that. Thank you.
Presentation is everything. Not only is it everything to communicate to the other person what you're doing, but it organizes you yourself into what you're actually doing. We get really wordy when we're not sure what we want to do or say. So getting into the essence of what we're putting in a bullet point not only helps us distill our message, but it also helps us communicate it more clearly when we're trying to.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right, great. Karen or Cara, who is ready?
Here, I'll go. Hi, Melissa. You sure
Hi.
have a lot of planets in Capricorn. I don't know if you've seen your chart.
Yes, a lot.
So for those that don't know, Capricorn, some of the archetype is the boss, the builder, the CEO, the manager. So when you were like, you said, do I have to do it on my own earlier? And I was like, I think she wants to do it on her own because she's got a heck of a lot of Capricorn. So that doesn't mean you have to go it on your own, or that now is the exact time in the moment. But I'm like, okay, yeah, you've got, and your planets are scattered throughout different parts of Capricorn. So you've got this sense of being good at positioning, knowing the lay of the land, like being able to assess when's the right time to move, what resources do you need. You have the ability to, the ruler of your chart, is this moon in mid Capricorn, which is this sense of, I want to build my empire. So you have a ton of drive in your chart. It's like, what empire can I build? I want to create this massive work that I can look at, that I can see, that's tangible in some way. So you have skills around that as well. You have innate entrepreneurial business skills that come in from past lives with this moon in Capricorn as well. And then you also have, sorry, I'm not looking at your chart now, I'm looking at the notes I made. There's just a ton of stuff that's like, she's got tons of boss skills. You also have your midheaven, which relates to career in Aries, which is a fantastic energy for entrepreneurship, doing your own business, your own thing. Another cardinal sign, another want to make something of myself, put myself out there, make something that's different and new that didn't exist before. So tons of energy for doing exactly what what's kind of burning in you. One thing your chart wants me to tell you is let yourself get big. So notice where you contract or where you shrink, because your chart's just like kind of saying like, do it, girl, you got the skills. And you have a ton of passion, are very tenacious. I bet you're kind of like a dog on a bone, or can be if you need to, like make things happen. And that's fantastic skill for manifesting whatever it is that you want, putting your intention on the thing. And really, I'm big on manifesting. This is for anybody and everybody. We have, there's so much power in our intention and holding what's possible. And, and I think you want to make a difference too. I think there's something bigger to this thing that not that, I don't know, I feel like there's something grander scale or grander application for whatever this is that's kind of coming into being. So being able to really focus your heart and your energy on that impact you want to make, that mission that's kind of burning in you. The universe responds, especially when we have something in us that that has the power to shift society or make the world a better place in some way. So being able to lean into that, I think, I just think it's a matter of of time. Speaking of time, there's an eclipse coming next month that has the power to make really big shifts for you in terms of career. So fortunately, some things are just kind of already set in motion planetarily, and we just have to let it have some time to play out. But it certainly could, I'm sorry, I can't remember the backstory of where you are now and all of that, but it could certainly pluck you out of where you are now and create opportunity for a new thing, or for the new thing.
What's the eclipse? I'm sorry, what is the eclipse?
There's an eclipse happening in May. I'm just checking, May 26th. It's a south node lunar eclipse. It's going to hit, I think it's going to hit your Mars. Let me double check your chart. Yeah, it's going to hit your Mars, which rules your career. So there's this sense of big changes in terms of the workplace, work front. Is there a potential for a shift or layoff or anything like that? Or
I'm unemployed now. I just have my own thing. There's no lack of opportunities, but all the opportunities I'm getting are work I refuse to do. I'm no longer doing it. I'm out of business for that because I hated it so much. I don't know. Outside of what you're talking about, I don't know what it's winking at.
All right. Well, just be aware, notice, and it's stuff that can activate at different times in the next year. So it's not necessarily right away, but certainly I think it will be helpful as you're making some big shifts in terms of career and opportunities. So eclipses for everybody can bring, sometimes can let something leave our life and bring something new in at the same time. So that would be around how you use your energy in the workplace.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I put a link in the chat. It's not exactly right, but it's an example of a link that goes towards the types of wellness companies. Some of them, there were some companies that were gathering together practitioners and making packages available to companies that their employees could use. And that now, it looks like a lot of them are just different ways for people, different ways that employers can set it up so their employees track exercise and things like that. So they're finding lower cost things, unfortunately. But yeah, so just gives you an example of that space. And so you can look around in that space and see what's available.
Okay, thank you.
Great. It's fun hearing about your chart. Totally makes sense with how you experience your energy. It's great. All right, sweet. Well, thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, and so next we have Dee. Dee, are you ready? Dee, we are, all right. Go ahead. Oh, we can't hear you. Maybe, so. Something's funny with the sound on your device because you should be able to be. All right, unfortunately, let's wait until you get the technology fixed. It may be that you have to leave and come back in. I'm not sure. All right, let's see. So Natalie, yeah, Natalie is next. All right, so Natalie, let's go find you. All right, here you are. All right, Natalie, what is your question?
Hello. So mine is centered around career. I moved for a job here in Seattle about 5.5 years ago. I relocated with the company that I had been working with. And I turned down 2 different promotional opportunities for 2 different reasons. And I did change jobs at some point. And then my current job offered to give me more money to offer me to stay. But now I'm kind of in this place where I feel very unchallenged and complacent. I've also had conversations with my boss about that. And I feel like I actually am not hating the job I have. I have a lot of flexibility and there's a lot of positive things. But as far as income is concerned, I'm not where I would like to be. I also don't have a formal college education. I only have my associate's degree. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what planetarily are we seeing, you know, what I can do to shift the energy around me, because I really am ready to step into a place where I'm feeling a lot more fearless these days. And I'm kind of willing to take chances and take a risk.
And what is the field that you're in?
It's like account management. So it's kind of a sales role in healthcare.
Okay, great, great. Well, I'll just start jumping in, and then so the big thing for me is do they have roles in your organization where you can mentor and manage other people that do what you do?
Not really. I'm actually being mentored myself. So I'm being mentored by people that are like senior account managers and account directors. Yeah.
Right. Well, so you have natural skills for working with people and encouraging people. And I think you have natural skills for mentoring other people. So while you're being mentored, I wonder what other ways, and you could start doing it you can start doing it informally as a way of getting experience, and you don't have to work with their system sort of thing. It just seems like mentoring others. Who are others that are doing this that are less experienced than you? And like, I wonder if there's an opportunity for you to move into a role like that with them. Because it seems like, it's a version of coaching. So doing a version of coaching and working with people so that you're not only doing that work, but you're supporting other people to do it. I think that will be more fulfilling. You have longer term relationships with them. You can see the trajectory. You have insight into how to do the work. So that's what I would wonder. Like, just as an example of a step, or finding some other if you want to move, some other organization where you get to do that, where you get to mentor and work with others. Do you, just what happens as I share that? How does that land for you?
Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, they do offer mentoring programs where I'm at right now. So I could, and I've thought about it, like, because I actually started off in a call center environment, and a lot of the people I know are still there. So I was one of the ones that moved up the ladder pretty quickly. And I want to extend that information on how to do that to other people. Like, I would like to help other people.
But I'm saying that, so at the business, how many people do what you do right now?
We have different departments. I'm one of 2 associate account managers, and then we have like 5 or 6 account managers, and then we have 4 sales executives, a marketing head, and then like a manager right below that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're just starting to do an account management. So you haven't been doing it for as long, and there aren't any roles opening for account management. Or are you being talked to the other account managers and see if there are things you can do to assist them? So other things that you can add to what you're doing. It just sounds like
I do that already. Yeah. Yeah.
And do they give you enough? Do they not give you enough?
They do give me enough, but I also am not being compensated more for it. So I'm also very hesitant to take on their full workload, but I have taken on like a lot of their reporting duties. I step up and conduct meetings with brokers and do other things that they would normally do. Yeah.
Also, a few things is I would recommend work on your resume, get your resume current, update your LinkedIn so that your LinkedIn shows all the things that you're doing, not just what's in your job description, like what you're responsible for, because and ensure that somehow your employer knows that everything is fresh, because just knowing that everything is fresh and updated will make them a little more nervous, and they'll be a little bit more likely to find something for you to keep you happy. And unfortunately, the way it works here in many ways today is that you get to do the work before you're actually paid for the work. So it's just totally demonstrating that you're capable and that you're that much more valuable, and they want to find something that will work. It sounds like maybe too, the organization in some ways is a little small. So
actually there's like 300,000 because we merged with CVS. So I work for Aetna, and then we merged. Yes. Yeah. So this is all, yeah.
It's just the way that and it may be just another section of the organization, but somehow where you have some space where you have some ability to move. And it's important too that as you're talking with your manager, right? So getting your manager really brainstorming a way to make you happy and to help you stay in the organization. And yeah. Okay. I think so. Working more with people where you have deeper relationships with people and doing some sort of mentoring or coaching. And you're suggesting like people just that are in the roles that you were before, and helping, and particularly the people that are willing, helping them see how they can move. I think then you'll be building your muscle on how you're coaching and mentoring other people. So that would be great to do right now. And then you're building that skill for yourself. And it's not like, yeah.
Yeah, no, and that helps because I'm looking to be more fulfilled. And I think that would actually bridge that gap. So that would help me.
Yeah, and you'll be able to utilize that skill a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Jessie, go ahead.
Hello, Natalie. Welcome in. You look familiar to me, so I think we've probably seen each other at these things before. Nice to see you and be able to answer a question for you. Right as I was kind of pulling cards and just listening, and right as Laureli said responsibility, I pulled the little angel card of responsibility from the box. So what I wanted to share with you is what happened for my husband. He was working for Intel, and he was an engineer, and he was very gifted, and he was like on this innovator track. He'd 28 patents in 2 years, just was really fast tracking. And then he had an accident and he lost his vision and his sense of smell. And it just completely shut down his trajectory. And he was really stalled out for quite a while in his work, even though they were very lovely and supportive. And they were like, what do you need? We'll give it to you. But what he needed, what they didn't have, they didn't really have in place yet. And so he actually had to be proactive with his manager and talk with his manager about how he could be more engaged, how he could feel more contributing. And it actually started him on this whole advocacy path that he'd never even imagined for himself. And he became an advocate. He ended up being a commissioner for the Commission for the Blind, testifying before Congress on the ADA when it was being celebrated. And all of these things that he was doing, no, they didn't translate to more in his paycheck. What they translated to was an invitation to a dinner with the president of Intel. And that translated to more positions, more places, more spaces. So again, I'm going to bring this up, and I bring it up all the time. Do you see a problem in the workplace? Do you see an issue or a challenge that could increase productivity, increase their capacity to recognize employees that could advance out of those call center positions? If you can see something where you can really see a way that the company could benefit from this, that bringing that forward to those departments or an idea, we never want to just bring a problem. We want to bring an idea of what a solution with that problem is, can not only give your management an idea that, oh, this she's looking for stuff. She's curious, she's open, she's engaged, but it also shows them that you're willing to come forward with it. I'll give you another really short example. Before my evolution into becoming a mother and starting to run my own businesses at home, I was working as a project manager at a document imaging company. When they first hired me, they wanted someone who could be a jack of all trades. We took people's paper documents and we translated them into digital, and we managed their memory, their databases, basically. And we work for a lot of healthcare companies. We're actually owned by a healthcare company now, that company is. So during that time, I noticed as our company kept growing and growing, my job was staying small, this little small projects. And so I went to our company, it was a small enough company. I went to the president and I was like, can I schedule some time with you to talk about some things I see might be able to improve our scan center productivity and maybe something I could do differently? And I ended up creating my own department essentially in this company as it was growing. So really, management, once you're in, they're not so much concerned about what your degrees are. They're concerned about what your action is, what your capacity to learn is, and what your willingness to take action in the steps. That's what they're looking for. And lastly, I'll say my husband, when he was at his interview for Intel, his first interview for Intel, he bombed, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't know how to answer any of their questions, but they still scheduled him another interview. And he's like, I'm going anyway. And he went and he learned everything they talked about in those questions that he'd failed. And he brought all of that forward, and they were like, that's all we want. We just want to know that you're going to be willing to take that and make a change.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's really helpful.
Great. All right. Karen, any wisdom you want to share from just all your past experiences? Or Cara, just want to make it open. So you can
Wanna
jump
go, Karen?
into.
Okay, I can pop in.
Go ahead, Cara.
Hi, Natalie. You look familiar. Have I seen you at one of these?
Yeah, I come all the time.
Okay. Yeah. So, any chance you want to be an astrologer?
I have studied astrology since I was 19, but I've never considered it like a
Answer the question. Have you thought about, have you any interest in actually doing it professionally?
Yes.
Yes, good. I think that's a awesome path. So our charts are kind of similar in some ways. And you've got the mark of a salesperson, Sun conjunct Mercury, good at talking with people, good at sales. So do I, right? I also did like nonprofit sales. I was a fundraiser, go schmooze, take people to lunch, wine, whatever, that kind of thing. But it's also really good at being able to do one-on-one work, counseling, coaching, teaching, all of those things. And for you, you know your chart then. At least I'm using the whole sign houses right now. And so that puts your Sun Mercury in your 12th house. And so then we get, okay, there's, first I was like, oh, healthcare. And then you said Etna. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, she's in that environment. But as you know, 12th house can also be esoteric things, as we're doing here today. And then with your midheaven being in Aquarius, late Aquarius, that's another thing that made me go, okay, she could totally transfer her skills over to doing this type of work in astrology for sure. So those are some things that really kind of get my attention when I look at your chart. But here's where I can see why it might get tricky because of that moon in Cancer in the second house. Really wants security, right? Really, really, really wants security. Also, you're a Taurus, also really wants security. And wants a plan. So like, how do I, might be passionate about the thing, but can I really do it? Can I have the success and the and all of that, the resources that I need? And it's not an easy road, but you certainly have the skill to be able to build that if that's something that you want to be able to do. The other thing is that just being careful how you do use your money. Right, there is this, there's a piece in your chart that kind of makes me think like there could be a little bit of a money leak at times. I don't know if you felt that, like where you're like, what, things kind of come up or whatever. So that's another way you can focus on your abundance too, is not just looking at how much you make, but also looking at how resources flow out and what your funds get spent on. So just a way to kind of reframe thinking about finance and abundance and all of that. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think that's awesome. I've heard, like, because I have the grand trine with my Venus, my Jupiter, and my North Node in Aries, that's like, I'm more of like a pioneer. So I need to kind of go after things, but I've also find that things just kind of land on my doorstep when the timing is right. And I usually have to decide between, like, I always have two options for some reason. It's always two. And there's usually a right option and a wrong option.
Yeah, well, you're a Gemini rising and you have your Mars in Gemini. They always got to have lots of options and possibilities and all of that. And this is a really good time for you right now with Mars in Gemini. So it's very activating, like I was telling someone else earlier. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, Venus and Jupiter together, great luck, right? Great luck around wealth. But it's conjunct to your South Node, which can bring losses too. So you do have to be careful.
Okay.
Too with spending and all that. But yeah, I mean, and it doesn't answer your question of how can I make more money in my current job, but I think you certainly, if you want to do something that you really love and are passionate about, you have the skill set to make a shift if you want to.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the solution now is make more money on the side.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, great. All right, anything else? Karen, go ahead.
Well, I just want to echo something that Cara said, and this is for everybody, whether you're, whether it relates to personal finances or going into business, but yeah, just kind of check to see if there are unnecessary things that money is being spent on. She said where money is leaking. I think that happens to all of us from time to time. We may have a subscription to something and we don't use it. And so it's just a way to kind of tighten up your expenses so that when you do transition or when you're planning to make some sort of move, you have the resources there for doing so. So I just wanted to echo that comment that Cara made.
All right, great. Thanks, Karen.
May I add one little tiny piece? I'll be very fast. And don't necessarily just limit yourself to astrology, Natalie, because you have other healing and intuitive gifts. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't feel like don't be limited by what I said, because there's a lot of different avenues and branches there.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then just, yeah, so my comments come from the talent of priest priestess, which Cara has also, right? Karen has also. It's about uplifting people. So that's why I want to be in a position where you're uplifting too. Kara's talking about some other elements of that as well. Yeah, what you can bring. Great. Thanks, Natalie. All right, let's see. And Cara, I sent you some time, possible time for that. We can announce it when we get all aligned on that. All right, I think Denise came back in, or D.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, D. Yes.
Oh, yay. Before you couldn't.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so thank you. Right now I'm kind of at the end of a major cycle in my life after my parents passed. And most of my life I've worked with children, like as a nanny, or more recently as a substitute teacher. I used to work with special ed kids. I don't want to work with special ed kids anymore. I'm thinking more in some way to work with gifted children. I also feel, I feel that whatever work I'm meant to do it doesn't exist as a career yet. That it's unique and never been done before. And I feel like in past lives, I've lived a lot of lives in servitude, and I've done a lot in this life as, working under people, taking care of other people's children, and I feel like this is in this life that I will come out of servitude. And I am wondering, I feel like whatever it is I'm going to be doing isn't going to be under anybody necessarily, but maybe, in a group, but not where I'm under somebody in a hierarchy. I just would love some insights. There's two major questions. Like, I would love like the bigger picture of, what I'm going to be stepping into, and also, some steps to begin to open that up for me. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that written down. You said two big questions. You said something about what? Can you say the two big questions again?
The two major questions are, the bigger picture of what I'm going to be doing, like, what's going to be opening up for me, what possibilities, or directions that my soul is meant to be in. And the other thing is, what are the steps? What are some steps to take to begin to open that up for me, because it may just kind of happen one piece at a time.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for clarity on that. Jessie, go ahead.
Hi, Dee. I remember you from just the other night, I think at the panel of and everything. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I remember, if I recall correctly, one of the things I got from you then, and I'm getting again from you now, is authoring, writing children's novels and children's books I'm seeing. I also pulled some cards for you. You got the 8 of Cups, and then you had the inverted High Priestess and the inverted Lovers card. So the 8 of Cups is about going deep with a feeling, taking one emotional vessel of obligation, commitment, responsibility, one thing you're feeling about, and going deep with that, taking that emotion and going deep and holding it. With the inverted High Priestess and the inverted Lovers cards, that really tells me there's some blockage in there. When you were talking about past lives, I got some just huge hits on that. Yes, you definitely do have past lives with that. There's some Akashic work that's needing to be done. There's some definite so here's how we do this, and everybody can follow this along. We're just gonna do it real quick. Take a few moments and just feel your body. I want you to wiggle all the way from toes to fingertips. Even imagine that you're wiggling your nose, and by doing so, you're fully coming in residency of your body. Each breath brings you more in residency of your body. And then I want you to take a moment, and I want you to call into focus on this lifetime and all others any oaths, vows, contracts, or agreements to be impoverished, enslaved, to not be empowered in your own right, and any other things that come to mind to you right now that are themes in your life that you feel like, I get it. I've been through it all. I'm all done. Here's the deal. You know what's up with it. You're done with the pattern. You recognize it. We're going to call all those oaths, vows, and contracts into focus and mark them as completed. We're going to offer to Source as we send those contracts back up as though we checked them out from the library as a storyline so we can explore and learn for God. We're going to check that storyline back into Source and return it with all of our learning, as though we're attaching a video file of all of our experiences, everything we've ever gone through for that. We're going to ask our Akashic record to be updated, to be cleared of all now completed and canceled out contracts that are no longer necessary for you to explore those pathways. And we're going to ask for a download for our next steps, a download for our next path, an activation of all contracts, oaths, vows, and agreements that we're ready to step into so we can embody who we came in here to be as Source playing its song through us. And it is so. And you can do this anytime you feel you've come to a closure on any sort of life lesson experience, and you can call in that into focus. Now, that said, as far as your questions, bigger picture, you have the Priestess card in there. So that's about teaching what you know, teaching what you've learned, teaching what you're aware of. Your background is your training ground for your for life and what you're going into. That is how we learn. The steps show up when we're ready to take them. It doesn't feel like you're fully ready to take them. So what I'd like you to do in the morning, as you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what's the most inspired thing I could do to build a future I want to wake up for? And let yourself hold that in your awareness as you're waking up. One of the practitioners at that panel that we were at last night talked about the stone dropping in that period of your subconscious and conscious mind waking with each other. Do that for a little while and allow yourself to really feel inspired by your own ideas, and then try them, and the steps will show themselves.
Yes. Oh, now I can see you. I wasn't able to see you at first. I just got, thank you. In the chat, I think someone else was thanking for the opportunity. I hope she's still sticking around.
I'm sorry, I'm out in the country right now, and so my signal is a bit wonk.
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
hope you guys can see me and hear me, but voice is
I
great.
can see you now.
We can hear you really well. Yeah. No, Karen had to take off, so she put her info in the chat.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Yeah. So Jessie, we heard you really well. We couldn't see you the whole time, but we totally heard you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Jessie, I love what you shared. Oh. Yeah, so I guess, so D, you mentioned servitude, right? You've been in servitude a lot. What is the opposite of being in servitude?
Well, there's servitude to somebody. I've heard it be said that before mission comes submission.
Well, so what is the opposite of being in servitude?
But what it means to me is, I'm always in servitude, but instead of being servitude to another person, I'm in servitude to my soul, to my, to a higher mission, in a very strong alignment.
Right. So what's it like for you to say right now, I'm in service to my soul and my higher mission?
I'm in service to my soul and to my higher mission.
Say it again.
It feels empowering. I'm in service to my soul and to my higher mission.
Great. So I encourage you to keep saying that, really deeply embody that. And anytime any thought comes up of like you're done with, you're tired of, you're blah, 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 figure out what the thing is that you're aiming for. What's the opposite? and keep saying and stating those things. And I believe that you'll see new opportunities.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, and it sounded good. It sounded good when you said it.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. I might have more things to share too. If Cara's ready, I'm going to have Cara go then. She hasn't unmuted yet though, Cara.
I pushed it, but it didn't go. Sorry about that. Hi, Dee. I'm just still kind of feeling into your chart. Let's see here. One thing that was kind of coming up for me is risk tolerance. I don't know if that means anything, but I kind of get the sense when I look at your chart of there's a potential to always potential, I'm not saying that is how it is, but potential for looking for something to go wrong or looking for the other shoe to drop, which could sometimes feel a bit limiting. Is that something that you resonate with at all?
I don't know, not in the forefront. It would be kind of like in the back of my mind that I'm not always aware of, but I don't think it's a huge theme.
Okay.
Yeah. Dee, if I can,
who knows?
Dee, if I can share, just I know in some other panels, Dee has shared stepping into some relationships and connections and some things that looked like opportunities and not seeing the problems that were there and having problems arise. So Cara, that fits with what I see, what you're talking about.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that could make sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I look at your chart, there's a few things that kind of have that like a readiness for something to go wrong, where there's almost like this need to be, and I don't mean in a bad way, but like looking for, like wanting things to be safe, wanting things to be secure, wanting things to be known in some way. And you have, when I look at the career aspect of your chart, I mean, you do have Cancer energy in that space. So that sense of working with children is for sure a good potential around that. But this part of Cancer too is like protective in some way, like using your mama bear skills in some fashion. So I definitely think that that's definitely a possibility. But I also get the sense of being very intuitively guided. Do you really, I don't know your whole story here in your history, but do you take action based on your intuition? Do you feel like really connected in with your guides?
I'm learning to be more and more connected. I do have a connection, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's super strong or I'm super acquainted with it. You know, it's a bit inconsistent because I need to get to know it better.
Yeah, well, good. I'm glad you're working with it because you have a lot of positions in your chart that do show intuitive gifts and skills, and to lean into that more and more will be really good. You're in kind of a life cycle time that can feel very restless and unstable. It's just kind of a thing that we go through in the 40s, especially early 40s, where it's like, you know, looking at what do I really want to do with my energy and wanting to kind of break free. And there's kind of a restlessness, which probably gets even more exacerbated with COVID because it's been harder to move at a time when we're feeling restless. So just something to be aware of. If you're feeling that, like feeling that tug or feeling that freneticism of wanting to be able to move, that would be a natural thing to feel. And it sounds like you're channeling that into like, how do I want to use my energy around work and working with kids. So so the career, you said the career doesn't exist yet. And that's interesting because when I look at your chart, I don't have a strong sense yet of what it is either. I'm just kind of getting some energy of it, but I think, I don't know, I'm excited and I wish I had more little threads to pull on here, but there's some Pisces energy that does bring in a sense of mystery around what it's gonna look and be like. So I'm excited to find out as you move into it more.
I mean, I have, I have a strong thing in the 10th house, a Sun, Mercury conjunct the midheaven, conjunct each other. They square Pluto, which is conjunct my ascendant. Ruler of the 10th is in the 5th with my moon in Pisces. So it makes sense that I'd be working with children, not just with the Cancer energy, but the 5th house moon energy. And then it's all trined by Uranus. So that's kind of an unusual inventive thing going on. So with it's like almost a grand trine almost with the Uranus, midheaven, moon, and all that. So,
and it does, yeah, I could definitely see that, but I also drew up your chart in whole sign, in which case it moves the energy to your 6th house instead of the 5th. So I was like looking at that going, it seems your chart may work better in Placidus than whole sign. So I was kind of leaning into, I wonder what this Pisces moon in the 6th house means.
I wondered too, because I always thought of it in the 5th, but I also tend to just instinctively, think I'm a servant to people. And I do want to break out of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We were talking, Laureli was bringing that up earlier. Yes. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I would, it sounds like astrology well. I would play with that 6th house moon, drawing up your chart in whole sign and see what more comes of that for you.
Do you really think my moon's in the 6th? Because I've always thought it was in the 5th. I hate to think it's in the 6th.
Well, every house system is going to give you a little different layer of information to work with. I used Placidus, which is kind of a default that a lot of astrology softwares will pull up right off the bat. And that gives you a lot of great information. And then I find some people's chart speaks better in different house systems. So far, everything you've shared with me, it sounds like whole sign is less, maybe less the system, but you may still get some interesting insights by looking at it. So I usually will go, if I'm doing a full deep dive with someone, I'll go back and forth between a few house systems and then kind of get a sense of the interplay between them. But yeah, every house system will give you a little more to work with.
Great, Cara, I was going to say, right, so her first talent is server. So this is the how to move from the lesson 2 of server into lessons 3 and 4. So
right, and so in the whole sign system, the moon in the 6th house relates to service, servitude, working through issues that way and being able to, and that activates your career energy. So how can I be of service? But to me, the children piece only came through with the Cancer energy of the MC D instead of it being in the 5th house, the moon in the 5th house. So anyway, I think you can still get to where you're going, even using the whole sign system, but it definitely brings the question of service and servitude in a way that it might not in the Placidus or another quadrant.
I wonder how that relates the 6th house to the 10th house that you see the connections there then.
Because the moon in the 6th house is the ruler of your midheaven. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's the driver of the sense of your Pisces moon in the 6th house, wanting to be of service in some way, is the guiding energy for the career for the midheaven.
They seem connected in this. So my midheaven career is going to be in a service-oriented way.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully not in a servitude way.
Your first talent and the way I see your eyes is about love and intimacy and deep connection. And there are lessons where society often attempts to get people that have this talent to caretake and to be in servitude instead of being a stand for love. So you're having to jump past the sort of the barriers that were put in front of you and the way people attempted to keep you trapped. We're taking the energy to use it for them, and you have to use it for self-love, and that's how you have the love for everyone else.
How I have the what for everyone else?
Churning your energy towards your heart, being a stand for your own love, for self-love. That's how you then become of service, of empowering others through love. You're not in servitude to them and you're not caretaking them. So it's you loving you is the pathway to you being of service to others in a way that's powerful.
Oh my God.
Empowering you at the same time.
And, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The ruler of her chart is Venus, the goddess of love, and it's in the 8th house using whole sign, which is relates to other people in power. So anyway, just another, I don't know how pulls up in the other house systems, but in whole sign, it fits very well with what Laureli was just sharing.
Great.
There's the Plutonic theme in my chart too, with the Pluto conjunct the ascendant, and that ruler is in the 8th house as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Dee. Jessie has a little bit more she wants to share too, and then we got to close out because we've already gone late. All right, Jessie, go
I'm
ahead.
going to be super fast. First of all, I just want to say that for those of us who are here and we find ourselves in service and serving, one of the things is that as consciousnesses that are attempting to connect back into source and that wholeness, we identify as what we call angelic consciousnesses. And people tend to call us, oh my gosh, you're such an angel, like you're so sweet, you do so much. And we tend to not think of ourselves in that. Well, in the law of one, it talks about how we are here as either service to others or service to self-orientation, and it's a scale. So really, those of us who are here serving others, our mission here isn't to learn how to serve others. We already know how to do that. Our mission is to learn how to serve the self and to come into a state of balance. In fact, in the law of one, it actually says if you're a service-oriented individuation, it means you're returning from God back into the creation. And so your job is to stay in service, 52% service to others, 48% service to self. You need to learn to bring that service to self up. And this is how I like to put it to my clients. Your service, the love that you have, it's like the tea that you're brewing. And if you are not putting any nurturing and work and care and growth and development into your tea garden, you're just serving hot water. You're not serving anything with any substance to it. So we want to put some substance into us. And the very last thing I'm going to say, I'm just going to hope to leave us all with this. Jane Fonda just recently said in an interview about her life and what she did, and she's one of my personal heroes. She said, you can't make life longer, but you can make it deeper. And you do so by living a life of intention. And for myself, that's everything. I pack so much into my day. There's no moment of boredom by filling my life with the things that I love and that are of service. And they're not of service to others. They are of service to me too. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Jessie. All right. Well, thank you, Dee, so much for your question. It's great that you know the astrology so well. You and Cara really could dance.
Yeah, awesome. And I hope you have fun playing around with your chart some more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. So unfortunately, Marina and Martha, we didn't get a chance to get to your questions. I know Martha's going to go in line. We're going to do this panel again on April 30th, everyone, in the evening. So Marina, we can either give you a refund and put you online for that panel if you want, or you can stay with your payment online for that panel. Yeah, so we've got that. And so we are going to close up for today, though. Thank you everyone so much for great questions and for everyone holding the space together. So Cara, Jessie, let's go around and let's share who we are again, what we offer, on our contact info. So anyone that's watching the panel again, watching the video, they can find us if they want to work with us. Yeah. So definitely, let's talk with, I know Cara's going to be here and I haven't checked with everybody on the panel yet, but yeah, so we will definitely have a panel on April 30th. So yeah, Jessie may be here too. All right, great. So I guess Cara and then Jessie and then me. Cara, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone for being here. I'll be back on the 30th. And again, Cara James, intuitive astrologer in Portland, Oregon. And of course, when I do one-on-one work with clients, I do a deep dive into your chart, look at your natal chart, progressions, transits, midpoints, all these different components that come together to help us understand who you are, what you're here for, what's happening now, what could be happening down the road. And I just absolutely love doing this work. So thank you for giving the space tonight and participating and letting me share some of the gifts and passions that I have. And it's been awesome being with you, Laureli, and you, Jessie, as well. So if you want to reach out to me, my website is carajames.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and all those things. And I also send out a periodic newsletter that you can sign up for on my website, carajames.com. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Cara. All right, Jessie.
Hi, I'm Jessie Starr. HealingPathwalkers.com is my practice. You can read all about my various programs, Life Mastery or A to Z, your experiential guide to energy. Tuesday night, we're actually having our Step 1 class being recorded, and I may offer another class if I get enough people involved. Right now, it's Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. to 11. And also, I offer a 30-minute free consultation because my work is pretty diverse. And so if you want to talk to me about how I work, what you're looking for, if you're looking for training or healing work, or you're looking to get some information and guidance, I have lots of different options to work with me. So on my website, there's a link up there. Just click on schedule free 30-minute consultation and you'll send me a message and I'll email you back. Thanks, Laureli. I'd be happy to be here for the next panel. This is my soul crack. So
Great, great.
and it was
Okay.
lovely, Cara. It was lovely, and Karen, and always
Yeah.
Laureli.
Great. And we were also joined by Karen Dyrenforth. She offers goddess financial empowerment and badass business coaching. And you can connect with her at thrivingstrategies@gmail.com. Her number is 303-419-2624. And if you were here today at the panel, she was offering a free 30-minute laser coaching session. For the contact information for Cara and Jessie and Karen is all in the chat right now. And then I've also got the link in here too. If you are still here, if you'd like to give us feedback on the event today, you will get, and with your email address, you'll get entered into a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader and body psychology coach. As you've heard today, I offer feedback on life purpose and career path choices, jobs, education, and I rewrite resumes, etc. And love to work with you on all kinds of different questions. And then you've been here today at the MeWe Awakening panel for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. And you can learn more about all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. And I forget to mention my contact info. You can reach me at MeWeFairs.com too. And you can find out all about what I do at LaureliShimayo.com. That's LaureliShimayo.com. My rates are 40% off if you've been here at the event today. And yeah, MeWeFairs.com. We've got a ton coming up. And just examples, we've got a fair with about 20 practitioners coming up on Saturday, April 17. We have a workshop, Harness the Power of Your Subconscious Mind to Confidently Share Intuitive Messages That Connect on Monday, April 19. A panel on disentangling from toxic relationships on Friday, April 23. A panel on animal communication and healing, Sunday, April 25. A panel on Beltane bonfires on Thursday, April 29. We're going to do this panel again on Friday, April 30th. And so that's on career, jobs, education, life purpose. And then we've also got Don't Feed the Medium on Saturday, May 8th, and many, many more events coming up. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here with all of us. Thanks, Cara and Jessie, and Cara in space, right? For sharing all of our wisdom, and everyone else for holding space together. Thanks, everyone.